Integrity Doctors! Welcome to Integrity Doctors Fall Conference 2024. Here, this is Saturday, October 26th. I'm Ryan K Maule, the president of Integrity Doctors, and I am so pumped to be with you today. And I know what you're already thinking. Ryan, you got more hair. Yes, I'm doing quite well. Doing quite well today. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day because we are going to learn. We are going to thrive. And I've dressed up. I've gotten, it's almost Halloween. One of my favorite holidays. You say, oh, Ryan, what do you mean? Yeah, it's my favorite. You offer me free candy for the neighbors. I'm taking it every single time. I realize I was told not to get in that van, but the neighbors are doing it. So it's okay now. It's okay. And I'm ready for this. This is going to be fun. I wanted to dress up. In fact, I've done a little more than dress up for you. I want to start this day off by something I've prepared, okay? Just a little something just for you, okay? All right, here we go. Tale as old as time, true as it can be, barely even friends, then somebody bends unexpectedly. Just a little change, small to say the least. You're a little scared. Your coach is well prepared. Welcome to Integrity Fall Conference. Yes, man, that's right. This is gonna be one awesome day. One awesome day. I'm ready. I think you can tell I'm ready. I think you are going to be prepared. I think you're going to see it. But I want to make sure that I feel part of this day today because I'm here. I don't want to feel like I'm alone at home. I don't want to just feel like I'm in my office today. I want to feel like I'm there with you. So we got to do our picture. Okay? Like we do every year. I want you to gather on the screen. Come on. If you're with your team, everybody up. Get up. I know you don't want to. I know. Oh, you're comfortable now. I get it. Put away the donuts. Just put it down for a second. You can finish it in a minute. Go up to the screen. Gather around the screen. That's right. Grab the best phone in the group. Take the best so we can get the best photo. Let's get this ready. I'm going to pose. Okay? I'm going to pose and take the photo with me. If you're alone, you're thinking this is weird. Try to take it. If it's on the TV, take a picture with me. Selfie. I'm all for it. Let's do this. Ready? Okay. Here we go. Hopefully you got one on. Hopefully, my fancy shirt's coming apart here. Hopefully you got it. Now go take those. When you got those photos, please post them. Post them to Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever. Just tag us. Tag Integrity Doctors. Use hashtag Integrity Doctors. That way I can see it. That way you can tag me, Ryan K Maule, RyanKMaule. Tag Integrity Doctors, INTEGRITYDOCTORS. Tag us. We want to see it. We want to know that you're having fun today. Post it in our app. Let us see it. Let us be a part of it. That would be awesome. But I hope you're ready. Are you ready? Are you ready for today? It's going to be good. We do have a coupon code, and it's coming up. I'm going to share it after the first class. We got to get into this thing first. We got to get prepared. We got to get the foundation set. And for that, we have the Integrity Doctor CEO right here, right now. I can see him. He's not dressed up. But I dressed up. I did enough for everybody. Let's just call it that. So this is going to be great. You're going to love it. This is it. Please welcome Integrity Doctor CEO, Mr. Keith Maule.
Well, hi everybody, this is Keith Maule, and I want to welcome you to our Integrity Doctors Fall Conference. It's for 2024, and I'm glad you're here. I think you'll be glad that you are here as well. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be very important. It's going to make a big difference for everybody who's listening, for everybody who's paying attention. This is going to make a big difference, and it's going to be lots of fun here. And I want to start out naturally with something that I want you to keep at the front of your mind and the front of your computer and the front of your cell phone. Probably be a great place. It is this. Here's the line I want you to get. Never. Everybody say never. never. They'll say, never be lacking in zeal. Now that's never be what? Lacking in zeal. Now that's just so that you know. You say, well, I've never been, if you've never memorized a verse in the Bible before, this is your first one. And it's a good one. It's only a few words. It's Romans 12:11. Never be lacking in zeal. Now the question we got to answer, obviously, is what in the world does zeal mean? Well, zeal means to have wholehearted passion, commitment, and persistence for a purpose. How about that? Now, zeal means to have wholehearted passion, commitment, and persistence for a purpose. So the next question I want to ask you is this. Is zeal something we have naturally, like an appetite? Or is it possible that we could become lacking maybe in zeal? Well, I'm afraid that it is possible. It isn't something that just comes naturally. It's something that you got to put there and keep it there. You must have and realize that having a burning zeal is like building a fire. It requires starting and it requires constant fueling. Well, that's why we're here. So one other quick thing here on the Bible. The Bible says in 2 Chronicles chapter 25, verses 1 and 2, Amaziah did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. Good God. Amaziah did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, but not wholeheartedly. Now, you say he did what was right, but he didn't do it wholeheartedly. You say, but why do I want to follow this? I've never heard of Amaziah. Exactly. He was a good guy doing the right things, but he was doing it half-heartedly. What was the result? The result is us saying, who's he? Who's he? You see, he didn't win. He is another member of the also ran community. He didn't win. How come? It isn't because he didn't do good things. It isn't because he didn't do the right things. It's because he did them half-heartedly. It isn't that he wasn't doing what he's supposed to do. It isn't that he wasn't doing the system. It isn't that he wasn't following the laws. No, he did them, but he did them what? Half-heartedly. Now, the question I've got to ask you is, do you want to win? Raise your hand if you do. Do you want to win? Raise your hand. If you're going to win, you got to do more than the right things. You got to do the right things with zeal. Never be lacking in zeal. You do the right things just like Amaziah did, but the difference in Amaziah and you and me is we're going to do it with zeal, bucko, wholeheartedness. That's what will do it. So this is pretty good. Are you doing the right things? If the answer is no, then we need to do that. We need to get that on track first, okay? If you're doing, first of all, we got to do the right things. But now we got to understand. Yes, Keith, yes, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Yes, I come down, I do everything. I'm on time. I do it all. I do it just the way I'm supposed to. I am 100% doing the right things, doing the system. But are you doing the right things, but maybe doing it wrong? Because it takes wholeheartedness. And I got to be honest with you, straight up, man, this can change from even day to day. What your answer is today might be different even tomorrow. Last week, you guys, I am not kidding you, I was watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they were playing the Saints, and it was a wild game because I'm telling you, in that first quarter, the Bucs came out there just like a Super Bowl team. It was awesome, man. I mean, we scored 17 points first quarter. At the end of the first quarter, it was 17-0. I'm thinking, I'm picking up the phone to buy Super Bowl tickets. This is the best team I've ever seen. This is great. This is awesome. We're going all the way. And then guess what happened? The second quarter started, And you would have thought we changed teams. I am not kidding you. It seemed like we were a whole different team and they were too. I'm telling you, by the time we got to the third quarter, it went from 17-0 in our favor to us behind 27-17. What? I didn't even think I needed to watch the rest of the game. But you got to play the whole game or you still lose. It doesn't matter. The first quarter just doesn't make a whole lot of difference. You got to stay in there. So we just changed. What happened to everything that they know and everything? It was the same players, same plays, same field, same time, but the wholeheartedness somewhere went right out the door. Here's the good news. Then came the fourth quarter, and they came back strong. I'm here to tell you, we won the game 51-27. But my point is, what you are doing now might not be what you are doing tomorrow. We got to keep a check on it, because you may say, yes, Keith, I came in here today. I came into this meeting with a whole heart, totally forward to it. Well, good. That's great. But we must monitor our zeal and maintain our zeal, because wholeheartedness doesn't happen naturally. That means we have to, you guys, you've heard this phrase, stoke the fire. We have to plan to keep it up. So here's where we're going to start. We're going to start with the zeal test to monitor our zeal. Now, you guys, in our summer stream, if you were there, then I introduced a happy test. I hope you're still doing it. That is one awesome test. That'll keep you going, man. Some people aren't happy at all. Some people are happy. Some people are happy, and then others are happy. Now, there's a test we should be continually taking because we don't stay naturally happy. Well, now what I want to do is today I want to give you a new test. It's a fall test to take, and it's the zeal test. Just as an EKG can measure the health of the heart and blockages that might threaten it, it is helpful to have an instrument that can measure the level of our zeal, our passion, our commitment, our wholeheartedness for our purpose, and reveal any blockages that might threaten it. So I'm about to give you the 6 questions to the test, and you can grade it. Or put it on your phone or on a tablet if you actually write with a pen and stuff. Here is a 6-question test to measure. Do I openly and frequently talk about my purpose, my God-given dream? Do I openly and frequently talk about my purpose to keep it at the front of my thinking and to create, this is pretty important, a public accountability for my actions? Now, this is really a pretty big thing. And what's interesting, mine. Matter of fact, you know it too, and it's yours, hopefully. But say it with me now. Everybody clear yourselves. I am born to heal. I can change the health of my world. I will do whatever it takes because I believe I was born for this. Now you say, okay, Keith, yes. We know what your dream is. We know what your purpose is. We know what our purpose is here. It's no big deal. It really is. I'll ask you this question. For all the people you know in this world, how many of you know the purpose of all those other people? How many times are they talking about it? How many times are they praying? How come you know mine but you don't know theirs? You know them a lot better than you know me, but you know mine. How many others do you know? Now, that's what makes it a big deal. Hardly anybody really does what we're doing here. You take it for granted. You take it for granted because we've done it. But not everybody does it. So now, on this first question, do I openly and frequently talk about my purpose? How would you grade yourself? Never? Do you openly and frequently talk about your purpose? Never? You never talk about it? Or do you do it maybe yearly, once a year, where you have to sit down and work on your calendar? Or is it monthly? Maybe every month you do. Or is it weekly? or is it daily? How often do you openly and frequently talk about your purpose? Question number 2. Do I accept the responsibility to make this God-given dream happen? You know what I mean. It's your responsibility. There's nobody else to look at, nobody else to blame, nobody else. It's not up to insurance. It's not up to elections. It just depends on who gets elected. No. Doesn't matter who gets elected. There's been a lot of people elected in my lifetime. Doesn't matter. If it's going to be, and by the way, I vote and stuff, don't get all touchy, but what I'm saying is I accept the responsibility of the dream that God has given me. If it's going to be, it's up to me. I must have the plan and work the plan. Now, is it enough to just do the right things? No, it really isn't. I must do them with zeal. So the question would be, what am I doing to stoke the fire? How would you answer that question today? You'd have to make a list, and we'll talk about it next month for that. So, question number 3. Do I complain about problems? I really like this. Do I complain about problems in a way that cleverly rationalizes a half-hearted involvement and effort? You know, if you can really list the problems and build a case with it, you can prove why you know your purpose, but you kind of just go at it as best I can, and we'll just do the best, and I don't know how we do it. Oh, you're rationalizing rather than accepting the responsibility. So, by the way, on this question, it can be yes or no or sometimes. Maybe sometimes you accept the responsibility. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you complain and rationalize a half-hearted involvement. How would you answer that question? Numero 4. Do I allow unexpected events or losses to knock me off my feet? Maybe even quit? Or am I committed 100% with passion to do whatever it takes? Do you allow unexpected events or losses to knock you off of your feet? Number 5. Do I acknowledge and celebrate every step taken in the right direction with wholeheartedness to put us closer to accomplishing our purpose? Now, see, I think that's a lot of times we don't put the focus on all the steps we've taken that were right. We need to take a bow. Never been to a musical where they didn't take a bow at the end, and they know how to take a bow. Boy, those guys on a Broadway musical, they know how to take a bow. They've even rehearsed how to take a bow. It's an important thing because it stokes the fire. You got to acknowledge and celebrate when you're doing it right, when you did it right, when you won. Celebrate all the. How many times does a team complete a pass or have a great run and do it all and it works and it went just the way they wanted it to? Do you ever just see them say, "Who cares?" Or do they go around jumping up and down, doing a jig, doing the? Well, it's not the jiggy or the diggy or I forget what it's called. But man, I mean, they have even dances that go with it. It stokes the fire. Now, how would you answer that question? Well, I never have really done that. Or maybe you'd answer, well, yearly we stop and take a look at all the good things we did. Or maybe you'd say sometimes. And maybe you'd say every time it happens. What's the answer? And then the 6th final question is, am I honest about my level of zeal? And am I ready to take the steps today, right now, to grow my level of zeal? Where this test reveals I am lagging, because I never want to be lacking in zeal. How would you answer that? Yes or no? Okay. How'd you do? Did it reveal any areas where you might be lacking in zeal? Now, if you're honest, I'm sure it did. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Now that you've taken the test, we need to make an action plan for whatever blockages that your test revealed in your passion and in your commitment and in your wholeheartedness for the purpose. We need an action plan. What are we going to do about it? So let me give you some, let's get an action plan kind of for each question, And here are some suggestions that I'll give you just to get started with some of them. After we get this rolling good, you can do it all on your own, but this will be just a few things that will help you get started with the deal. So on that first question, which was, do I openly and frequently talk about my purpose, my God-given dream, to keep it on the front of my mind and thinking, and to create a public accountability for my actions? Now, how can you raise that level? How do we do it? If you feel like you're lacking there some, how can I do it because I'm not doing it right now? Here's some things. Make a list of who you can talk to about it. Get some prime people that you feel comfortable with. What friends, family, and when and where can you talk to them about it? Let's just make a list of it. Then it gives you something to do, gives you who to do it with, and gives you where you're going to do it. Keep it at the front of your thinking with purpose. Here's the thing. What can you do? I thought about this. I thought this would be pretty cool. You see, some of you come to the conferences with shirts that I love the shirts, and they say stuff like, some of us, around this time, I like World's Best Dad. That's a good shirt. Well, here's the thing. Because when you wear a shirt that says World's Best Dad, it kind of puts the pressure on. It kind of says, well, this is no time to be a sorry dad. If I'm going to be a sorry dad, I need to change shirts, because it reminds me of what I'm really supposed to do. And I would say the same thing about you guys. I would say the same thing about purpose signs around the office. I think it's great to have your purpose. I think, and I think some of you do, but have purpose signs around the office that just reminds you, oh yeah, because then you have to be this servant. Then you have to be grateful. Then and you start putting out these purpose things, and when it's there in front of you, it's a good reminder because it keeps you accountable. I would have your purpose just like I do, as you know, because you read it every time you're with me. I would have it written out, your purpose. What is the God-given dream? Written out. And you can, by the way, I want you to have mine. I want you to take mine. I want you to know mine. I want you to do mine. But you can mess with it. Here's another one on the second question. Do I accept responsibility to make this God-given dream happen? Now, instead of making a case for why you can't do it or why it doesn't work, unless someone or someone else does something, it's their fault. They haven't done it, and until they do this, then I can't do that. Make a list of what you can do because you're going to take responsibility. Make a list of what you can do to stoke the fire. So here's some suggestions, for instance. Watch some inspiring movies or programs of people who have lived out their purpose and overcame all odds to do it. That'll stoke it. That'll be good. Listen and watch the videos on the Integrity app that talk about these type of things and will inspire you to do it. You got to keep stoking the fire. You've got to accept responsibility by mastering the procedures. And that means don't obey them. Don't just obey them, own them. Dr. Doug taught us this in the Super Saturday live conference in Dallas. It was awesome. If you have not heard that, go back and listen to it about once a week for 6 years. He talks about the importance of owning the system. Mastering requires owning it. You will never work with zeal. Did you hear that? You will never work with zeal if you are only doing it because you have to. Now come on, all of you who are parents, how many of you have ever told your kid that, I need you to do this. Hey, I need you to go and do this. And they say, do I have to? Now what does that tell you just right off the bat? How much zeal do you think they're going to do whatever you're having them do? I mean, honestly, this is not a jumping up down thing. No, I have to. You know that you're about to have a real cruddy job done of whatever it is that you're asking them to do, right? Because if you don't own it, you will kill it. Which could also probably be the goal so that maybe they won't ask you to do it again. What is the right thing to do? Change the way you see it. You are not being made to do something. The system is not on the opposite team or side as what you are. The system and the team are one and the same. This is so good. I'm sure you're getting it down on your phone. And the system and the team are one and the same. This is not a matter of wanting to do it one way and being forced to do it another. That's not taking responsibility. That would be the definition of half-hearted. No, you perform the procedures with zeal, passion, commitment, and wholeheartedness. And to do that, you must own the procedures, own the system. It is you. You accept responsibility by working the system. It removes the chaos, you guys. It brings calm to your work. It eliminates the stress and the wear and tear. It provides consistency. It makes zeal possible. So why in the world would you resist it? It enables everyone else to know what you are doing and when you will do it and how you will do it. Now in football, the quarterback needs to know where the wide receiver is going, and everybody needs to know the play so they know what to do. What if everyone just ran out on the field and did whatever they felt like doing? It isn't going to work. They must learn the plays, they must call the plays, and they must run the plays that are called. In other words, we are better when we know what is going on. This way we can play with confidence, with zeal. No hesitation. We know what is going to happen. It plugs the leaks. Third question. Do I complain about problems in a way that cleverly rationalizes a half-hearted involvement and effort? Now, that's saying things like, well, we can't find anybody to do it. Nobody wants to do this. We can't find any doctors. We can't find anybody that wants to do this. Nobody wants to be the... Or we say things like, well, ever since COVID, boy, I'll tell you, ever since COVID, you can't find anybody who wants to work. You can't ever find anybody who wants to do anything. You can't find anybody who wants to leave home. And there's another one I get to hear a lot. Oh, and insurance. The small reimbursements. We just don't get... I can't practice with these kind of reimbursements. Oh, here we go. Not taking responsibility for your God-given dream. Now, let me give you a quick example straight from... I want to talk to you about a little boy, a story that you're very familiar with. Jesus was out, and there was a crowd of 20,000 people there. 5,000 men, 20,000 people. There was 20,000 people all here. Now, think about 20,000. 20,000 is a real good attendance to a professional basketball game or a professional baseball game. I mean, that's a ton of folk, man. Try to picture 20,000 people. And he turned to his disciples and he said, these people are hungry. What do we have to feed them? There isn't any cafeteria or nothing. What do we have to feed them? Well, I'm telling you, one of the disciples then said, well, they're looking out over 20,000 people, and how are we going to feed 20,000 people? He says, well, there's a boy over here that has a lunch. Why don't we give him that? We'll give him his sack lunch. You guys, don't haloize everything. He was kidding. He had to be kidding. He thought that was the most ridiculous question in the world to ask. What do you mean? What are we going to feed this huge, massive crowd of people? I think they said it as a joke. But surprisingly, Jesus said, yeah, that'll work. Bring it to me. Bring me the boy's lunch. That'll work. Whoa, can you imagine their feelings? Now, imagine them now going up to the little boy to ask to give away his lunch. Now, I don't know. Here's the amazing and impressive thing about the story for your inspiration. The boy just said yes. He didn't point out the obvious problem that his lunch couldn't feed 20,000 people. He didn't even try to make a deal. Now, that's pretty surprising. See, now I know with my grandkids, if I even try to take a French fry off their plate, oh man, just try. And there's sometimes I say, well, I don't think they're going to eat this. And I reach over there and I eat something that they have almost proven that they're not going to eat. And I mean, 1 minute later, if it's like that long, I'll say, hey, where did I wanted that. And I didn't think you wanted it. You hadn't been eating it. And, this boy didn't even try to make a deal. Well, okay, you can have one of my fish, but I'm going to keep the rest of it. Or, I'll keep the fish and you can have all my bread. Now, He didn't do that. Without hesitation, he gave all of it. All of his lunch. That's pretty impressive. He gave the only lunch he had, all of it. And there's no record of him asking for anything in return. He made no demands of, what will I get? I'll give you this if you give me that. No, there's no mention of crying. That's a biggie, isn't it? No mention of complaining. What? Or hesitation. Nope. He had zeal. He knew somehow that it was the right thing to do, and he did it. Wholeheartedly. He gave him all he had. There was no arguing with Jesus that this was all he had, and it wouldn't be enough to feed the 20,000. Now that's an important little statement, because here's something I want you to write down. He somehow knew God would take what he had and make it enough. He somehow knew that God would take what he had and make it enough. Do you have enough to fulfill the dream and purpose that God has given you? I know it doesn't look like it sometimes, but God will take it and make it enough. Wow. This is how you handle question number 3. One more interesting thing, though, that I want to point out. We don't even know this boy's name. He got no credit. Phew. I am sure nobody came around and said, wow, kid, thanks for giving your lunch. No. No award was given. Come up on the platform here, young man. Come up on the platform, Jesus said. And they said, this boy gave up his lunch for... No, that didn't happen. But we do know the result of him giving everything he had. Jesus made it enough to fulfill the purpose. He fed all the people. And guess what, you guys? You know who also got more lunch? Got more back than what he gave? You know what? The boy got his lunch back, plus some. You can be sure that boy ate well. Oh, this is really good. Now here we are over 2,000 years later, and we've all heard this story, and we're still telling the story. So, don't rationalize your lack of zeal and half-heartedness by complaining and proclaiming that you haven't been given enough, or you just need these people to do this and it's all their fault, or it's that insurance, or that's whatever. Give it all, bucko, whatever it takes. Now, number 4. Do I allow unexpected events or losses to knock me off my feet? Maybe even quit? Or am I committed 100% with passion to do whatever it takes? Unexpected events, here's one thing I want you to know. We all have them. And they can knock us off our feet if we let them. Do you ever let them? How do you handle unexpected events or losses anyway? Why does this matter? Because hurricanes happen. That's why. And hurricanes can rob us of our zeal. Now, boy, this has been a month. That's all I can tell you. Now, I want to start out by saying this. Florida's a great place to live. Hundreds and hundreds of miles of white sandy beaches. Lots of beautiful lakes with awesome fishing. Year-round warm weather. And green landscape with palm trees galore. And the best golf courses in the country. We have 3 NFL football teams. We have 2 Major League Baseball teams. We have 2 NBA basketball teams. We have 2 world champion hockey teams. How many states have all these things? And everybody knows we are the home of the happiest place on earth. We have Disney World, Epcot Center, Animal Kingdom, Disney Studios, Downtown Disney. We have hundreds of water parks. And of course we have Universal and Adventureland. We have NASA. Honestly, there are too many tourist attractions to even name. But that's not all Florida has. And it also is a fact that hurricanes happen here. Now, in the past month, you guys, it's true that we've had 2 hurricanes in our area. Just just within only 2 weeks apart. Had I planned on it? No. Now, forget about the fact that this hasn't happened in our area for over 100 years. It doesn't matter. I have never seen anything like this. So it isn't quite as common as you would think as people talk about it now. But when it does happen, I'll tell you, it hurts. Ugh. There will be rebuilding and replacing for years. We won't just get over this. We won't have it cleaned up in a week. It ain't going to be right. You should see the huge mounds of trash that have just been set out on the side of the road, all up and down the roads you drive. And after the second one, I got to tell you, people start getting really stressed and edgy around here, Some became like walking clones of the Weather Channel before it got here. And I started hearing some say they were going to put their house up for sale and go somewhere safe. You know that word, the word we've come to worship these days. Just for fun, though, I want to ask you, look at all the list of things that I gave you the way I started this thing. Look at that list again of great amenities in Florida that nobody has to offer. Nobody can say what I just said about them. And all you have to do is ignore all those things so that you can focus on the 2 hurricanes. One other question. I wonder how many of the Floridians who are overwhelmed with the storms, how many times have you ever heard them overwhelmed at all the great things we have in Florida when we haven't had a hurricane? I try to live by a mantra that simply says, I'm never down. I'm either up or I'm getting up. So right now we're getting up. So how do you handle unexpected losses? Keep your focus on all the gains. Count your blessings instead of sheep. So, another thing that I got to ask you about, okay, put your house up for sale. Quit. Go ahead and quit. Where are you going to go? In business and in life. When you hit storms, and all businesses have, every place has their own version of storms. Every state does. Every state has their own version of storms. Snowstorms, tornadoes, flooding, ice, wind, rains, all the time. Earthquakes, mudslides, fires. If you have found a place that has no storms, you guys, no hot weather, no cold weather, all good, and no dangers, nothing but good can happen here, that could only mean one thing. You're in heaven. Until we get to heaven, we are going to have storms and stuff. You have to accept the fact that hurricanes happen. And I'll tell you this, every job has storms. Every business has seasons. Every clinic has storms. But where are you going to go and what are you going to do that doesn't, you guys? Here are some of the solutions that you've probably already tried when hit by your own hurricane. First one, solution number 1 is usually to quit. Now you think if you quit, your stress will go away. We'll quit doing this, we'll stop this, we'll get rid of it all, get this, I'll sell this. Now you think your stress will go away. Whoops. Wherever you go will have its own set of storms, bucko, and stress and pressure. Maybe different types, but still storms. And, stay in bed. That's another solution. Say that you could just stay in bed where it's safe, Just stay under the covers, man. Stay at home. A lot of people have done it since COVID. They just stayed at home. You'll get bored with it, you guys. It may sound like a solution, but it gets boring quicker than you think. Third choice is usually to make everybody else's life miserable by you crying and complaining to them about how unfair life is and this isn't right. Blah, 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 blah. You think griping about it and rehashing it over and over again will make you and them feel better? You think that's going to work? You're going to feel better now? Do you ever feel better after that? It never works. So listen to these 2 realities, you guys. It's really important to get a hold of. Quitters don't win. You said at the beginning of this class, you want to win. Well, get this. Quitters don't win. Listen to the finality of that statement. They don't win ever. There's no middle ground. You quit, you lose. You are a quitter, you are a loser. What do you think of that? We'll give you a second part of it. Winners don't quit. Are you a winner? Then your decision is made. When faced with a hurricane, you don't quit. So what should you do? Keep doing the right things with zeal and stoke the fire by celebrating every step taken in the right direction. Take your eyes off of the storms and celebrate living in the happiest place on earth, the middle of your purpose. You see, right now, after 2 hurricanes, I'm shocked and thrilled that I even get to be here. I'm thrilled that I have electricity because I haven't for 2 weeks. I'm thrilled that I have water because I haven't. It's pretty nice, but I even went yesterday to get gas. Just drove up and got gas. Unbelievable. No. Living in the happiest place on earth, keep your eyes off the storms. Keep taking the zeal test for living and working with a whole heart. Now, you guys, I've given you what I feel like will be this. I want you to keep taking this test. I hope you could have written it down and start making your own. This gets you going. I gave you action steps, but this gets you going. You can do this. I'm glad. So what are we going to do? We are going to never be lacking in zeal. Okay, you guys, let's take a break so that we can think about this and discuss it. Talk to you later.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you, Keith. What a tremendous way to start the morning. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little more zealous already. I mean, this is a day. I love these things. These are so much fun. You get to sit in your own comfy chair that you pick out, and you get to watch and learn and take all of this in. And I think we can all agree that Keith went straight beast mode in that class. Come on, give me credit. That was a good one. There's more where that came from. Just be prepared. It's gonna happen probably most of the morning. So this is a day, man. I'm so pumped. I love this. This is one of my favorite days. I love doing this. And if you know, and you've been on one of these before, you know that every year we have a live stream. Every time we have a live stream, we offer a special coupon code where you can get it into our member store, and you can order a report of findings package. You can order the wellness report packets, and you can get a special deal today only. Today only. Only works today. Doesn't work tomorrow. Doesn't work Monday. Only works today. Didn't work yesterday. Doesn't apply to something you ordered this week. Only applies to today, because I come up with this right away. I come up with this in my head, and I think, you know what, I should do it. And I'm feeling inspired right now. You ready for this coupon code? You ready for this coupon code? Coupon code for today only to get 24% off for 2024. 24% off. We are going to have the coupon code all lowercase, all one word. Beast mode. That's right. Beast mode. I mean, why not? BEASTMODE. Beast mode. That's your code. Enter that, all one word, all lowercase, and you will get 24% off. Go. You got 10 minutes now. We're going to take a 10-minute break. We're going to be back with another awesome class that you don't want to miss. Make sure you're here. It's going to be great. Let's do this. Welcome back from the break, everybody. This is it. We're doing this. I hope you're pumped. I hope you are ready. But first, I want to answer a few questions, mainly one question. There's one question I keep kind of getting on the side. A couple of you have emailed me saying, Ryan, why aren't you dressed as Star Wars? Because if you know me, you know I'm a major Star Wars nerd. I love me some Star Wars. And you're right. That would be the easy choice. But you know what? In going through the preparations for today, here's the thing. I noticed a trend. And I noticed a trend, in fact, of the classes that we're talking. And the next two classes that you're going to hear are surrounded on something that reminded me of Beauty and the Beast. Now, if you remember from Beauty and the Beast, there's one thing that Belle loves more than anything. Okay? She loves books. She loves reading. She goes and takes books from the town store. The Beast really wins her over by giving her a library full of books. And today, we are talking about booking. See how this is going? See how it's... I just got to do this thing right. We're talking about booking, and there's no better way to start talking about booking than to talk about a topic that everybody constantly needs pushed on, and that's a little topic in booking called advanced multiple scheduling. And to do so, we've got one of Integrity's best here right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Integrity Dreammaker Carolyn Wright.
Hello and welcome, Integrity Offices. It is so good to be with you guys here today. My name is Carolyn Wright. I'm a coach here at Integrity, and I could not wait to talk with you about one of the most important and impactful procedures that we have, and that is our advanced multiple scheduling. We're going to cover everything you need to know, from what is it to why it's the most important procedure and how do we do it and what's our role and all the questions in between. So let's dive in and kick off first with what is advanced multiple scheduling. Advanced multiple scheduling, really simply, is scheduling the entire treatment plan at the report of findings. It's not bits and pieces. It is all visits. Now, in our schedule, when we're scheduling all of those visits, it also means that we need to include all procedures that our patients are going to experience. Think of our Living Well for Life or our wellness reports 1, 2, 3, etc. Any procedure that our patients are going to have also needs to be noted in our schedule so we can keep our office on time. Advanced multiple scheduling now isn't just for those entering a treatment plan, it is for those also moving to wellness. So after our patients complete their treatment plan and they get that wellness report 3 and they are ready to move to wellness and we're celebrating with them, we want to make sure we're also scheduling them out for 1 year of wellness per the doctor's recommendation, whether they're coming in bi-weekly or every 4 weeks, whatever it is, we're going to schedule them out over the course of the next 12 months. And we re-up that. So after they complete their first 12 months, we're going to then re-up that advanced multiple schedule for the next 12 months. Okay? Now, why is this one of the most important integrity procedures? First and foremost, it keeps our patients committed to their whole care. Did you hear that? Right? That is so important. It keeps our patients committed to their whole care. Now, I want to give you this illustration to help demonstrate how this happens and why this is accomplished right at that report of findings appointment. You see, during that report of findings appointment, our doctor is going to make a recommendation. And in our example here, let's say it's 20 visits. If we're only scheduling out 5 or 10 visits because they don't know their schedule or something for whatever reason they share with us, as treatment starts to progress and they get further and further away from that report of findings appointment, they're going to start to forget what was recommended or how many visits have they done, how many are left. They're not going to be able to remember where they are at through that process. They're only going to be aware of what is on their schedule, which means their mindset simply could start to think, hey, I'm done or I'm almost done, but our mindset is saying, no, you're not. You're only halfway there, right? Because they start to forget what was recommended and where they're at through that process. As an illustration, I could not help but think of this situation that I experienced with my kids. You see, we live about an hour and a half away from the kids as grandparents, and we have taken that hour and a half trip hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And for those of you who have kids, you know that any road trip that you're taking, short or long, pretty soon it's like every 5 minutes they're starting to ask, are we there yet? How long do we have? Oh, my butt hurts. I don't want to sit in my car seat anymore. Or I'm bored, right? They start to bring all this stuff to the surface. And I'm like, kids, like we have taken this trip 100 times, hundreds of times. We know we've got a little bit of time yet. I mean, they start asking that and we have barely left our driveway, right? So we have started to lay out, what does the journey to Grammy's house look like? We leave our driveway and they're so excited. They know the destination before we did this, right? They're excited. We're going to Grammy's, but very quickly into the drive, they start to question how much time is left. Well, we've reestablished what this trip to Grammy's house looks like. So we leave Bloomer. We drive through the city of Bloomer first. And then we're in some backwoods, Northwoods, Wisconsin. So we take some back roads and we're going to hit our first town called Cornell. And then we drive through the town of Cornell and we hit our next town called Gilman. We go through Gilman and we have one set of stoplights on our entire trip. And that set of stoplights means we are 5 minutes from Grammy's house. And it is like a party. It is a celebration in the car because my kids know when they see those stoplights, it means we're almost there. You see, this illustrates exactly what our patients experience. Before we were able to lay out, like first it's Bloomer and they think, okay, so now we just have Cornell and Gilman and the stoplights left. Okay, now we went through this. Now we just have Gilman and the stoplights left. They knew what to expect. They knew how much time was left and when we were almost at that finish line. Before we did this, we could have been in the car for 5 minutes or 50 minutes. And it's like, how much time is left? What do we have left? I'm bored. They didn't know when to expect to reach that finish line. And you guys, that is why our advanced multiple scheduling is so important. They know what the finish line is when they come to us. They want to get well. They're excited about that. But if we don't have it laid out for them, if we don't have it pre-scheduled for them, they start to wonder, well, how long is this going to take me? I feel like I've been doing this for a while. What's up? What's next? How do I know I'm getting to where I need to be? Because they can't see the end in sight. We have to make sure that all visits are pre-scheduled and they leave that report of findings with all 20 visits in place given to them. Okay, it is so important. Next, it establishes our appointments as priority. Okay, we live in a time of very busy lives and busy schedules, and it is so easy to lose track of what kid has this appointment or that appointment or this after school activity or this field trip. Or, for me, I'm thinking, man, this one needed money for a book fair this week. I needed to remember to send in a pumpkin. I needed to remember that it's the craft night. I mean, our lives are busy and there's so much noise and so much commotion around our schedules. We need to make sure that commotion, that noise does not drown out the importance of these visits. When somebody has something on their schedule and they say, hey, are you able to do this on Thursday evening? And they open up that schedule and they say, well, I have my chiropractor appointment at 3:00, so I could do it anytime after whatever, right? So it helps us to prioritize these appointments. Again, as a mom with kids now in school and all these different schedules, it's like, give me all the important dates the first day of school so I can put those into my schedule. Same thing when I was pregnant and expecting. I remember going in at my 8-week appointment saying, please give me all of the known appointments that you need me for. Put them all in the schedule. I want them all, preferably after work, which helped me prioritize and get the time that I wanted that fit best in my schedule. These appointments, these activities, they're important to us. Our chiropractic appointments should be, and we want them to be, important to our patients. And to help set that priority, to help set that importance, we need to make sure they are in their schedule. Okay? So first, it's important because it gathers the commitment to the whole plan. Next, when they've got that whole list of schedules, it establishes our appointments as priority. Third, patient recovery. I know we have the best intentions to be diligent with missed calls or patients who are canceling, but things happen. And this Advanced multiple scheduling procedure can contribute to less drops because if you think about it, we have a safety net, right? We know that they've got a future visit on the schedule. So if for some reason, which we don't want to happen a lot, right? But some reason they slipped through the cracks and they didn't get that appointment rescheduled, we know that at the end of the day, they still have that next visit in place for us. So again, it allows for less drops, less recalls, less reactivations because we can gather and connect with that patient through this process. And lastly, control of the schedule and front desk traffic. You guys, optimizing your clusters is so easy to do when you've advanced multiple scheduled, right? So if your office schedules 3 patients every 15 minutes and this cluster has 2 and this one has none and this one has 1, it allows us to easily lead our patients to better fill those clusters and thus optimizing our schedule. It also creates less time and less of a bottleneck at the checkout because we're not haggling like, what about this? What about that? How about early? How about later? Well, what about the following week? Because they've already prioritized these appointments. They've put them in their schedule. It's just a confirmation. And last but not least with this, it helps to ensure that they're getting the appropriate appointment. We're not forgetting to notate that their next appointment is the Living Well for Life or the Wellness Report 1. We've pre-scheduled where those things need to happen. Very, very important. Again, controlling the schedule and the flow in your office helps immensely with our patients. Okay? So, we know why it's important. Now, doctors, what is your role with this? Because you are the leader of our advanced multiple scheduling. You are the one that kicks this off. You take the lead. You doctors are going to take either the CA to the patient or the patient to the CA. It is an exchange between the 3 of you, okay? And in front of the patient, you are going to tell the CA to schedule out the treatment plan you have discussed. Okay, you gave the patient, right, our report of findings. You listed out what their treatment plan was. You are now just setting the expectation. Patient, CA here, is going to schedule this out for you. Okay, it's very easy. It's very simple, but doctors, you have to lead this. You're passing the authority to our CA to put those visits into the schedule. And CAs, staff, what's your role? You say, okay. You just simply have to execute what has been instructed. You do not need to regather the patient's commitment. You don't need to say, is this what you want to do? Or this is what the doctor has said. We do not need to do that. We don't need to re-emphasize the treatment plan because we had that handoff. The doctor said what it was. The patient's committed to it. Now we are just going to execute it. Okay? So knowing we just have to execute it, we say, okay, and then we lead our patient to get on the schedule with their preferred days and times. Okay? We're going to just simply sketch out an overview of what that plan's going to look like. I'll review the how for that here in just a minute. All right. Before we do the how, though, it's really important that we evaluate what is our perception regarding the advanced multiple schedule. Do you personally or as an office say, they're not going to schedule that many visits? They don't like to do that. Oh, we have too many hospital workers here. We have too many firefighters, police officers. Their work schedules change. This isn't going to work for them. Is that our perception? Or is our perception, this is a standard practice for everyone? It is a great way to support successful results for our patients. Do you view this that we have too many types of patients that it's not going to work? Or do we know and understand the importance of it? Is this our standard practice? Is this what our expectation is? We have to make sure to do this successfully. We have to make sure we have a positive perception of our advanced multiple scheduling. Your perception matters. Teams, this is an expectation. It's not, oh, is it just nice when it happens? We have to expect it. Set the expectation. Doctors, know your responsibility. Staff, know your responsibility. It takes you from thinking you can't do this or my patients don't want to do this to being able to do this near 100% of the time. And we even give a little bit of leeway for those exceptions to the rule. We say our goal is to get 90% of our patients advanced multiple scheduled. So how do we start? Well, before I give you the exact way for how to do this, I want to remind you of the assumptive approach. We assume everyone expects to do this. We assume everybody wants this. They came to us for a reason. They have something, they want to get better. Our doctors told them how they're going to do this. And so we assume that that's what they're committed to. In fact, they committed to it to the doctor, right? They might even, we have them sign even here at the bottom of this report of findings folder saying, yes, I'm committed to that plan. So I put on here, we assume, therefore we do not need to ask. I don't want to say, do you want to schedule these out? Of course they do. This is what we've just said is going to get them the result. They want to do it. We don't need to ask. So how do we start? Well, acute care patients, we're just going to do it. Again, we're not asking. This is what the doctor's treatment plan recommendation is. All right, we're going to lead them now to picking their preferred 3 days and times that work best. Okay, so I give you a tip here. If it works at 3 days a week, it's going to work at 2 days a week, and it's going to work at 1 day a week. What I mean by that is you don't have to go appointment by appointment by appointment for 20 plus appointments for our patients. We do not need to do that. In fact, that's very overwhelming for our patients. We also don't need our patients to sit at the front desk while we sit here and input every single appointment, okay? Because that's where they start looking at their phones and looking at their schedules and saying, well, I don't know about this and I don't know about this. We just gather in perfect world, in ideal situations, what are the best 3 days that work. And in fact, I have some offices that I work with that really want to try to fill up maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays a little bit more. So we say, well, hey, let's find the best 3 days that are going to work for you. How's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday? They might even position those days if they're trying to fill up that schedule a little bit more. Okay? If it works at 3 days a week, it works at 2 days a week, it works at 1 day a week. We don't need to re-ask. Okay? And again, don't make the patient sit there while you punch in one appointment at a time with the patient. It creates that bottleneck at the front desk and additional objections. Now, I know the objection you're all thinking, but Carolyn, what about those who say they don't know their schedule or my schedule changes? The police officers, the nurses, the truck drivers, whatever it might be, the farmers, okay? First off, those who don't know their schedule or who have varying schedules are probably the people who need this even more because they've got even more things consuming in their brain thinking about, well, do I work these days or do I work these days? And it's even harder to remember to bring in their work schedule to figure out when to fit this in. These are the individuals that need an advanced multiple schedule, I would argue, even more than those who work a standard work schedule. Okay? So, when somebody says, I don't know my schedule, I want to remind you of the tool that we have called the Acknowledge, Respond, Pivot. We've got additional training on that you can review. But we're going to acknowledge that they don't know their schedule. Sally, we totally understand those varying work schedules. Then we're going to give a value-filled response. But because we know how important following Dr. Smith's recommendation of care is in getting you the results you want, now we're going to pivot and lead them to take action. Here is what we're going to do. Not would you like to do this, but here is what we're going to do. We are going to take your ideal days and times. Even if we don't know if they work here today, that's fine. But we're going to use those to simply sketch out your plan. As any conflicts may arise with your work schedule, we will make sure to work with you and move anything on our end to work around it. So, to go back to thinking of those ideal days, let's think about the best 3 days. How do you feel about Monday, Tuesday, Thursday? And I lead them back to, let's pick those days. You see, a lot of patients give us objections of I don't know my schedule or my schedule changes because they don't want to make something if they don't know if it's going to work. What we are going to adapt, we assume everything I put on the schedule works until we know that it doesn't. I am fine moving something, but Not putting it on the schedule means they're not committed to it, means they maybe have the intentions today that they're going to stick to that treatment plan, but in 5 or 10 visits from now, they're starting to forget about what that treatment plan was and where they're at, and they're maybe starting to lose sight of that finish line. We make sure they leave with all visits on the schedule, okay? So, next up, how do we do this with wellness care? Right? Acute care is easy. It's all new patients moving forward. We're just doing it with them. Wellness patients looks a little bit different. You might say, hey, Carolyn, we have an office of 3, 4, 5, 800, whatever it might be, wellness patients, and we haven't been strong in this procedure. What do I do? Well, again, I want to give you a quick reminder, that assumptive approach. We assume everyone expects this. We assume everybody wants it, and therefore we do not need to ask. Team, if you have 800 wellness visits a month, and I were to say how many are on the month of January, and you tell me that there are 30, 40, 50, right? A very low percentage compared to what we're seeing. Here's what I know. I don't need to ask. If you're seeing 800 wellness visits a month, your patients want to come in every single month for wellness. I don't need to ask if they want to come in every month. They're showing me that they do, right? So it's safe to assume if they've been coming in for the last 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever plus months, they want to continue that journey, okay? So we're going to think of this in 2 phases with our wellness patients, right? Because these are existing patients. These aren't new. So the first step we want to do is identify how many wellness patients and visits do we have. So let's say our baseline is 800, all right? Now, what did I just say? If they've been coming in, we can assume they want to continue coming in. So the first phase of doing this is sitting down and scheduling out their visits. You don't even necessarily have to tell them yet. That's going to come in here in phase 2. But the first step is just doing it. So look at your schedule for this afternoon. What wellness patients are on that schedule? Are they scheduled out? Yes or no? If not, go ahead and schedule them out. And in fact, I would right now today, if I were doing this, I would get everybody scheduled out through December of 2025. Why would I do that? Very simple and easy. I know that baseline of 800 people, I can feel confident that every single one of them has all of their necessary visits that they need for 2025. Well, Carolyn, what happens if they get reheard and they need to go back into a treatment plan? Well, that's fine. Then we can move them back into that treatment plan. Okay? I'm not worried about the what ifs. We're going to just sit down, whether you want to do all the patients today, or, today you're going to do who's on the schedule tomorrow, or I have offices just have one person sit down and say, hey, go AMS all wellness patients. Okay? And they're like, well, what about the people I know that they won't like that? Again, our goal is 90%. If I have 800 wellness patients and 50 people were to balk back at me about it, and let's even say they were mad about it, you guys, I have 750 who are just fine doing it. And think about those wellness patients. If they were coming in month to month and they got sick one month and they missed that appointment, it really easily can turn into 2, 3, 4 plus months without an appointment. How do I know that? Because I see offices every day doing recall reactivations over 6 months, and patients are ecstatic to get back in on the schedule. Well, how has it been 6 months since they fell off the schedule to begin with? Because they weren't already on the schedule, right? So it is so important for us to do. So wellness patients, figure out what that baseline number is for you. And then I want you to work on scheduling. Just go ahead and schedule each of them at whatever interval they're coming in, once every 2 weeks, once every 4 weeks, and do that through the end of 2025. And then you can check how it's going by pulling your December 2025 total patient visits on the schedule. That will tell you how many wellness patients we have scheduled out. Now, once we've scheduled all our wellness patients out, we come into phase 2. Now, this is where we're able to give our patients their schedule. Again, if we think back of why this is important, it establishes these appointments as a priority. I don't want to just schedule them out and not tell them, because I want these visits to go into their calendar. I want them to have these on their schedule, right? So we are so excited that we've done this for them. Think of it like a present, like a gift, like something I thought they would enjoy, something I feel that they would be grateful I did for them. It's like I thought of you when I was doing this, that you would like to have this done. And that's how we're going to present it to them. It's Sally. As a VIP wellness patient in our office, we wanted to make sure to reserve your preferred date and time. Therefore, I've went ahead and saved those for you for this next year. Here's a list of those to add to your schedule. And of course, anything that comes up along the way, we will ensure to move any appointments as needed. So in looking at this, following, coming in about every 4 weeks, if maybe that's what they're doing, we've got your next appointment scheduled for insert. And again, if that next appointment doesn't work, well, we move the time up or down. We move the day back or forward a little bit. It is just fine, because we're always confirming their next appointment at each appointment. All right. Now, think about this, guys. In this situation that I'm covering right now is assuming that we maybe haven't been strong at doing this wellness AMSing. But once you do this every year, this is just an expectation of our patients. They just know they get a calendar for the next 12 months. And it's not even a conversation. So the first year, if this is the first year that we're doing it, we might need to position that conversation again. We're excited we've done this. We're honored we could do this for you. But after this year, when we've just done it and everybody that moves to wellness just gets it done, right? It's really not a question. It's not even a conversation that we need to have. It's, hey, here's what we've done. That's just the way it is. Just like every year when we start a new school year, they give me a list of dates. Here's spring break, here's Christmas break, here's this, here's that. They give you a list of all the dates every year. It's just expected. I wait for the new year calendar to come out so I know how to incorporate it into my schedule. That's all we're doing here. All right. So, common objections that I hear with wellness. Let's go through these. And teams, these are real life examples. So if I have an office and they're maybe not growing their wellness, this is exactly how I would do this with you and how I would encourage you to do it in your offices. If our number isn't growing as rapidly as we want, I'd say, okay, team, let's look at who's on the schedule today. Who's the first one? Sally. Okay, well, tell me about Sally. Well, Sally comes in bi-weekly for wellness, and she still has 8 visits left on her schedule. So that's taking her through roughly the end of this year, right? It's like, great. Sally already knows what wellness AMSing is. She has 8 visits left on her schedule. Do you think Sally's going to mind if you now continue that schedule through the rest of 2025? It clearly worked well for her for the last 10 months. It's going to work well for her for the next 12 months. Go ahead, just schedule it out and be done with it. Okay? Tim, this was the example I was given. He's a teacher. He likes 3:30 and 3:45 during the school year. But when we were looking at this, he's coming off these summer months, right? And so in the summer, he was coming in at 10:30. They say, how do I do this? Very simple. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to schedule the teacher, Tim, at 3:30 or 3:45 for the next 12 months. As the summer months approach, and maybe it's May and I'm confirming that June appointment, he might say, well, could we move June's appointment up to 10:30? Absolutely. Let's do that. All right. John, I hear this one all the time. He's a farmer. There's harvest season and planting season, and they're just so busy and they're stubborn and they don't know if they can make it in. Again, don't worry about the few months that may not work. You're going to go ahead. You're going to schedule them out for the next 12 months. As harvest season or planting season or whatever the seasons are that we have come up, we can either maneuver those appointments or it's our safety net. If something truly happens and they can't make it in because of those long days that they're spending in the field or whatnot, we know that we've still reserved that spot now for that next one. Hey, and then they're calling, they're canceling it, whatever it might be, we have our safety net in place. We're not letting 3, 4, 5 months go by without having seen them. Wellness AMSing is so, so important, especially if your office is wondering why your wellness patients aren't growing, even though we're moving people to wellness every month. this is the very first spot that I would check, because for every person you're moving to wellness, you're having somebody fall off because they weren't advanced multiple scheduled. So here's what our homework is today. Here's how we're going to wrap this up. First, if you're wondering how is my office doing at advanced multiple scheduling, we're going to do these simple steps. The first one is, I want you to say, use the month of September, or we're almost done here with October, use the month of October, and look at how many reported findings were completed and how many of those were fully AMS'd. Again, our goal is 90%. So take a look at that. If we're not there or we're far off from that, we're going to have to set some action steps to growing that. Okay, how's our wellness advanced multiple scheduling? Well, I would probably go out and look at the month of January 2025. Some of our offices might have treatment plans already starting to trickle into the month of December. So in January 2025, run a report. How many patient visits do you have on your schedule? Okay, again, you just can look at total patient visits because there's no wellness visits scheduled out that or there's no treatment plan scheduled out that far. So patient visits is wellness visits at this point. All right. So whatever that total is, compare that to where you ended the month of, let's say, September with, right? Our most recently completed month. And what is the difference? Our goal is we should be scheduled at about 90% out. If we're not, let's take a look at that. What do we need to adjust in the office to implement this successfully? Is our acute care AMSing low? Do we need a better handoff staff? Are we maybe asking if they want to schedule this out and we need to change that verbiage? Maybe that's looking good, but our wellness visits, they're not getting AMS'd out. Why is that? Are we not doing, again, a good handoff for scheduling out 1 year of wellness? Do we just need to sit down, schedule it out, and do it and be done with it, right? We can set the action steps to changing this, but teams, this is one of the most important and impactful procedures we have here at Integrity. So making sure that we do this sets our priority to our patients in making sure they're completing those visits. It gets them committed to their whole care, and it helps reduce drops. It is a game changer in our offices, and I know that because I get to see it every single day in offices who weren't doing it, who have now implemented it successfully and continue to grow and hit records. And teams, I want that for every single one of you. So I want you to evaluate your advanced multiple scheduling. Look at it on the front end and look at it on the back end. If we're not around that 90% mark, I want you to set some action steps as a team and check on this regularly in your next couple of staff meetings. Incorporate these conversations to make sure we're seeing the progress that we want. And of course, for our offices who have our team manager program, please take a look at this with your team manager. Let's make sure we're hitting those benchmarks. Teams, thank you so much for having me here today, and I can't wait to see all the growth that we experience here as we come to the close of 2024 and we enter 2025 with strong advanced multiple scheduling. Thank you.
Wow, great job, Carolyn. Nailed it. Nailed it as usual. I think we can all agree that Carolyn is the belle of the ball. All right, well, let's continue on. I want to make sure we're doing it. Do make sure you're getting your products. Make sure you're using that this coupon only works today. Only works today. If you haven't placed your order, you have to. No, don't order it and then tell me I didn't know how to do it. There's a little spot on the order process that says coupon code. You got to enter the coupon code there. What is the coupon code, Ryan, you may ask? Well, I don't know if you hadn't forgot it or not, but it's beast mode. It is beast mode because I've gone full beast mode today. It's all one word, all lowercase, BEASTMODE. That's it. Beast mode. That's your coupon. Get 24% off only today. Only right now. Only while this is going on. So make sure you book it and get your stuff and take care of it. We're going to take another 10-minute break so you can process everything you've heard from Carolyn just now. And we'll be back in 10 minutes with another class in our Beauty and the Beast theme morning here at the Integrity Fall Conference. Take a break. Welcome back from the break, everybody. It's time for another awesome class. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to invite you right now to be our guest. Be our guest. Put our system to the test. We're going to be our guest for another class on Belle's favorite books. And this next one is a little thing we like to call block booking. And this one you're going to get a ton out of. I know you're going to love it. It's going to cover everything to master block booking. So give it up for Integrity Dreammaker, Dr. Doug Sullivan.
Well, hello, everybody. Dr. Doug Sullivan here. So excited to be back with you for another live stream conference class. And this is a bit of a first for us as well. Our first ever live stream fall conference. So I thought I'd get into the theme a little bit. You know, we always seem to be doing these around the seasons, and we have the summer live stream and we have the winter live stream. Well, here in Wisconsin, fall means that the weather's getting a little chilly. Leaves are turning beautiful colors, and, time to get out the flannel shirts. And I figured I'd pull out my favorite fall hat for you today, too, so we can just all be in theme. So, I don't know. What do you think? A little bit of Elmer Fudd to it? Yeah, we're going to roll with it. Okay, so I got to dig right in because I got a lot for you, and I'm excited to get it rolling. Over the last year or so, I've spent a lot of time on these live stream classes digging into the foundational principles behind groups of our procedures. Going to go a little bit different direction today. Instead of digging into several procedures and how they tie together and how they, the foundation behind them, I'm going to go into one specific one today. Actually, two, but they tie together. And this particular procedure really is going to make a difference as to whether or not you have a blissful day that flows with lots of fun and you can serve lots of people, or you have absolute chaos going on in your office. So the title of my class today is Traffic Flow or Traffic Jam. It's completely up to you. So, seeing as how we're talking about traffic to start with, let's talk about road trips for just a minute. How many of you are road trip families? Yeah, you like to go on road trips, get everybody together and drive to wherever you're going? Man, it's the way our family's done vacations for lots and lots of years, because to be quite honest with you, it gives me heart palpitations to think about getting on airplanes with all my kids and being contained in a closed tube for that long. So we established the tradition of road trips, and it's carried on. I mean, now many years later, 3 of my kids are adults at this point and still come back for the summer road trip. Gives us an opportunity to be together as a family, see the countryside, see towns and cities along the way, and yeah, to be honest with you, act a bit like the Griswolds. And, actually we did a road trip this summer that we associated with the elite meeting. We were down in Tennessee and drove across Tennessee, saw some countryside we've never seen before. As a matter of fact, along the way, I got to see the biggest Buc-ee's in the world. Who knew? In Tennessee. I didn't even know what a Buc-ee's was, much less that we were measuring the size of Buc-ee's. But let me tell you, if you've never seen a Buc-ee's, especially the biggest one in the world, you don't know what you're missing. But anyway, as much as I love road trips, the thing I hate the most about road trips is the inevitable traffic jam. You're always going to get into one. You know what I'm talking about, too. I'll bet you've been in one of these. Some of you may live in cities where it's a daily occurrence for you. You're flying down the road, you're going 65 miles an hour, and then, whoa, all of a sudden you're not moving. And then just like that, everybody around you is taking off again, and we're back up to 65 miles an hour, and then, whoa, back down to 0 again. I don't think there's almost anything in the world that makes me more nervous and anxious than that kind of stop and go traffic. I mean, I'm just waiting to slam into somebody or somebody to hit me. And I can't stand it looking out the windshield and just seeing that sea of brake lights, right? Everybody just all stopped in front of you, except for that one guy. You know that one guy, right? Weaving in and out of traffic, bumping people over into the breakdown lane, cutting people off. You know that guy. Yeah, those are the guys that can sour a road trip if you're not careful. And I'll tell you what, as much as we like to act like the Griswold family, I feel like Clark Griswold in the middle of those traffic jams going, I feel my blood pressure just going through the roof in those traffic jams. I can't stand them. So I got a little curious when I was putting together this class. I was wondering, where are some of the biggest traffic jams and congested highways in the country? And I came across this list from St. George's Insurance Brokerage. Apparently they do this every year, and they list the most congested highways in the country. And, you know, there's probably some that aren't surprises on here. There's Chicago, and there's Houston, and there's Atlanta, and there's LA. And where we were this summer, we were in Nashville going out towards eastern Tennessee. But you know what? Although Nashville was close, I'm actually thinking St. George's is wrong. My road trip this summer actually gave me a different experience. The worst, most congested highways in the country, based on my opinion, Knoxville, Tennessee. Love you guys in Knoxville. You got a pretty city, but oh, brother, does your traffic stink. That 65 to 0 to 65 again, right? Sea of brake lights. That one dude, which was actually many dudes in big old jacked up pickup trucks, weaving in and out of traffic, bumping people over into breakdown lanes. Yeah, that was all in Knoxville this summer, let me tell you. And no matter how excited I was about Buc-ee's, yeah, I was not excited about driving through Knoxville. So when I got home from that road trip, I got to wondering, what the heck's going on down there? Why is that so crazy? I mean, I sure didn't expect that kind of traffic. And by the way, I should say it wasn't just one experience. We were driving from Nashville through Knoxville out to eastern Tennessee on a Thursday. And yeah, we ran into a whole lot of traffic. Coming back through on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Traffic, big time. I sat in Knoxville for like 2 hours. Why? Well, turns out there's actually a lot of reasons. Knoxville's going through some pretty massive population explosion over the last couple of decades. There's also two major interstates, the one we were on, which is east and west, and a north-south one that come in and they merge together. They don't actually cross. They sort of come in, join, go together for a while, and then split away again. And they're two of the busiest interstates in the southeast coming together right there. Turns out, according to a lot of the stuff I read online too, that there's some massive roadway design flaws. Instead of having the big flyover interchanges, the big spaghetti tangle of bridges, they basically just bring two roads together and say, good luck. And so you can imagine when the roads are coming together like that and the traffic speed is really high, it creates a mess, right? Huge number of traffic accidents right there in that corridor we were driving through. Bottlenecks that show up for no reason, like I said, even on Sundays. Backlash from people who live in the city, but also people who have to drive through it all the time. Citizens and drivers alike. Man, oh man, social media was ugly for you guys in Knoxville. Knoxville sucks. Avoid Knoxville. I hate it here in Knoxville, driving around and all that other stuff. So yeah, it wasn't looking good because of all the traffic jams. But here's the deal. This is totally avoidable. I actually I really went down the rabbit hole on this. I read several traffic studies for in and around eastern Tennessee and Knoxville. And it turns out that if they just build the right interchanges, they could alleviate all of this traffic. They could have better proven structure. They could have better traffic control. They could have speed and volume regulation, and they could better understand their peaks and their valleys of their traffic. You notice I put all these words in yellow because I want you to pay attention. We're going to come back to them. Structure and traffic control and volume regulation and peaks and valleys. So I have to wonder, as you're sitting here wondering what traffic jams have to do with anything, do these traffic jams happen in your office too? You end up with bottlenecks out of nowhere? Do you end up with crashes where all kinds of people show up at the same time in the same place and nobody can get anywhere? Feels like everybody's running into each other? You ever have aggravated drivers in your practice. Maybe it's the doctors, maybe it's the staff, maybe it's the patients. And how quickly does that build up into a Knoxville problem if it keeps happening for you, right? Patients start canceling and no-showing their visits. Patients drop out of care. They start putting bad Google reviews out there about you because it's so hard to navigate through your office. If you haven't already guessed, you guys, my topic of conversation today is about your schedule book. And yes, I put that in quotes because I understand I'm still talking from an old school perspective of a book on the counter that we write names in with a pencil. But whether you still do that or whether your book is entirely automated inside your software, it's still the schedule book. And it is the key to having either complete chaos and traffic jams and bottlenecks or blissful drives through your office with great controlled patient flow all day, every day. And believe it or not, even though this looks really complicated and crazy on your screen here, bliss can be had with this kind of infrastructure because it brings structure. It brings traffic control. It brings volume regulation, and it helps you regulate and understand your peaks and your valleys. At first, it can look intimidating, but when planned properly, it can help people move through your office just like traffic can move through and around a city so much easier. But to get here, your schedule book requires you to think about it differently. Scheduling appointments, and team, I'm going to start talking to you, but doctors, I know I usually say this to the team right away, but doctors, today I'm going to say this to you. Don't check out, doctors. This isn't just a team class. This is for you as well. But we got to think about our schedule book differently. It's not just scheduling a patient appointment. It's not just a task of getting someone into the book somewhere. It's a responsibility. We actually call this a core value. It's core value number 5 is responsibility. It requires your attention. It requires your control. And it requires discipline to stick to a proven strategy that we know works to flow patients. Now, here's the deal, you guys. As many of you have grown over the years, we've got to recognize that what worked when you were smaller doesn't work now. Kind of like Knoxville. Back in 1960, when those interstates I was talking about were first built coming into the city, Knoxville was a town of about 100,000. Well, now in 2022, they're just shy of 200,000. They've doubled in size. The roadways from the 1960s don't work anymore. I wonder how many of you have traffic flow patterns or structures in your schedule book that don't work anymore. See, you can't shove more volume into a schedule than you have space for, just like you can't shove more traffic onto roadways than you have lanes for. Now, we know that volume happens. We know that there are going to be times when the traffic is just heavy and the lanes are full and there's a slowdown, right? I mean, that's expected, especially in big cities. It's expected in bigger offices when we're at the peak of the day. But ain't nobody happy when traffic is bottlenecked all day long. Just like I wasn't happy when I was driving through Knoxville at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning and we had bottlenecks. So we got to take the responsibility for better controlling that. We have to account for the anticipated traffic. What's going to be coming? What's it going to look like as we achieve our next set of goals, as our office grows? We've got to make space and control that space before it happens. Just like traffic control. There are really specific and proven strategies for regulating patient control, and that's where we're going to go today as we talk about the schedule book. Because you guys, we can't make this stuff up on the fly. Here's a hint. It won't work. It won't work. If this is what your schedule book looked like or what your roadway looked like back when you were a smaller city, and you now try to keep it that way, but shove 2 or 3 times or 4 times the traffic into it, it's not going to work. You must go to a more specific, patterned traffic plan. Now, not only do you have responsibility for controlling it, you've got to take leadership of your schedule book, everybody. This is also a core value. It's our core value number 1. Leadership is the primary method of controlling patient flow. We have to show people where to go. We have to show doctors where to go. We've got to work to keep people in the proper time slots at the proper time and assure that all of the procedures get done in the process. So we have to take responsibility and leadership with our schedule book. On a highway, you guys, cars go where the road goes, not just where they want to go, any old place. You have to lead people to where you want them to go, not necessarily where they want to go. Okay? So our schedule dictates where and when patients are doing and receiving certain procedures, as well as the time they're getting them. All right? I think a lot of us just think about timing, 9 o'clock, 9:30, 9:45, 10 o'clock. No, our schedule book also controls what's happening during those times. Now, doctors, I told you don't check out on me. I'm going to come back to you now. I'm going to say something that I think you might feel is very controversial, but your staff's going to love it. I know you might own the office, or you might have the authority of the patient care in the office that you're working in, but I want you to get a mindset, doctors, because this is really important. During patient care time, when you're in that office taking care of patients, staff doesn't work for you. Nope. You work for them. Notice I gave you a little smiley face at the end of that sentence, trying to soften that up because I know that hurts your ego a little bit. But you work for your staff. Your staff is controlling the flow, and you must go where they tell you to, where the schedule dictates that you go. We're going to talk about 2 specific strategies today for controlling your schedule book. One's called block booking and the other one's called cluster scheduling. Now, I want to get this in place right away as we go forward and talk about this, because it's going to talk a lot about time management and where people end up on a schedule. And I want to be sure we understand all the time that we're talking about today is based on the doctor's time with the patient, not the patient's time in the office. What I mean by that, as an example, if we've got a new patient that is scheduled for 9 a.m. today, that's the time the doctor is walking in the room with the patient, not the time the patient is walking in the door, right? If the patient's walking in the door at 9 a.m. as a new patient, you and I know the doctor's not seeing them at 9. And no matter how long it takes them to get the stuff done is what the time is the doctor's now going to be behind based on that schedule. Right? So 9 a.m. means doctors walking in the room with the patient. So now I ask you the question, team, if that's the time the doctor's seeing the patient, when does the patient actually need to arrive in your office to do their paperwork, to get their right place promise, to watch their welcome video, which is a little less than 5 minutes? It's definitely not 9 o'clock, is it? So tell the patient the time you need them there in order for them to be in with the doctor at the time your schedule book says they should be. I don't know, is that 8:45? Is it 8:40? And by the way, if you've got text reminders or phone calls that you make, those things should be calibrated to give that time the patient needs to arrive, right? Little things that we've got to think about that'll help control your traffic. Now let's dig into those 2 strategies, okay? Block booking based on the doctor's time. The definition of block booking is dedicating periods of time throughout the day in your schedule for performing only certain procedures. So let me give you an example using a 1-doctor office. Don't worry, if you've got multiple doctors in your office, we'll talk about those offices here in a few minutes. But just starting with 1 doctor. An example of block booking might be that all of our longer appointments we designate be done in a specific time of the day. Longer appointments are typically going to be our new patient appointment where we're doing a consultation and an examination and some x-rays. Our report of findings appointment where we're sitting down and giving the report of findings, having the financial conversation, doing the first adjustment. Those would be longer appointments that we would cluster together into one area or block together into one area of the calendar, of the schedule. We recommend that you do specific blocks throughout the day for only new patients and only reports of findings. We recommend that you do other blocks in the day for your shorter appointments. Your shorter appointments are typically going to be your adjustments, right? To be your wellness reports. Now notice I'm talking about all of this being scheduled based on the doctor, which is why I'm not throwing in all the therapies and other things, because those can happen around the times that we schedule for the doctor. Okay? Now, there's no one right or wrong way to structure block booking, right? You might be looking at the length of time of the blocks. You might be looking at where in the day to place them. You might be wondering how many of these blocks to have in a day. And although I'm going to give you several examples today, there's no one right or wrong way to do it. So certainly work with your coach to help you on this if you think you need some more strategy on it. But I do want to give you some guidance on how to start aiming down into the best probable places to block your schedule. It's going to be necessary to experiment. You're going to have to work with various blocks and times and lengths to see what serves you best. But the best way to start is just look back at historically over the last, say, 6 months, what your peaks and your valleys are. Okay. When are your historically busiest times? Maybe it's 4 to 6 in the afternoon, or maybe it's, 8 to 10 in the morning, or maybe it's, noon to 2 in the afternoon. Look and see where historically you're busiest. Those are going to be your peaks, and those are your most likely times to do your shorter visits, your adjusting and your wellness reports. In my office, we always call those blow and go times. We're blowing and going, blowing and going. Conversely, look back at what your valleys are. Historically, your slower times, where you could put longer visits that don't interrupt the day quite so much. Those would be your ideal first spots to aim for new patients and for reports of findings. Now, when you're doing that, you still also have to consider some early morning and some later day blocks for new patients, because I know what most of you are going to find is your valleys end up being like in the middle of the morning and in the middle of the afternoon, right? Like, 10 to 11 in the morning and maybe, 2 to 3 in the afternoon or something. But if that's the only place you ever put new patients, you're going to block out a certain number of your demographic that just can't do that. Right? They can't get to you during those times because of work constraints or something else in their life. So consider also when you're thinking about where do you block new patients or reports of findings, that you do some earlier in the day and you do some later in the day. So let me give you some examples of what that might look like. Now, I know some of you might be looking at this on smaller screens, but what I've done here is I've blocked the week into 2 different structures, a Monday, Wednesday, Friday block and a Tuesday, Thursday block. And then I've taken those blocks and broke them down even more. Now, please, you can take pictures of this or save this or what have you, but this isn't like the integrity suggestion. This is just one example. I did this here with Monday, Wednesday, and Friday doing adjustments and therapies and wellness reports between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Remember, these are doctor times. And then at 9 o'clock to 10:30, we flip over and we do new patients and we do reports of findings. And then we go back at 10:30 to noon and we do adjustments and therapies and wellness reports. And then we take some time off between noon and 1:30. And then we go back at 1:30 and do adjustments and therapies and wellness reports for an hour. And then at 2:30, we go to new patients and reports of findings until 4. And then we finish out the day 4 to 6 with adjustments and therapies and wellness reports. Now, you may notice that I went to the Tuesdays and Thursdays and I just completely flipped that. All right. So this gives us some early morning and some late evening new patients and reports of findings opportunities, whereas more in the middle of the day, 9 to 10:30, we do adjustments and therapies, and 2:30 to 4, we do adjustments and therapies. So this is just one example of how you could set up a 5-day work week to give opportunities to everybody for new patient and reports of findings, as well as adjustments and therapies. Now, here's some important tips about blocking. You schedule only the appropriate appointment types in the appropriate block. In other words, I'm going to say respect the block. Whoever staff member in your office is controlling that schedule, That's got to be your mantra. Respect the block. Okay? Adjustments and wellness reports only in that tightly spaced time frame for adjustments and wellness reports. No new patients, no reports of findings. Those go into their own block. And in the new patient and report of findings block, no adjustments, no wellness reports. Why is this important? Well, for your doctors, this creates what we call present time consciousness. It controls their speed. It controls their efficiency. Team, have you ever noticed that when your doctor gets on a roll, he or she can really get going, right? When it's just adjustment, they can really get a groove on. But when you throw 2 adjustments and then a report of findings and then a break and then an adjustment and then a new patient and then 2 adjustments after that, they get scattered. They slow down. They're at their least efficient because they're always having to think about the thing that comes next and they can't get into a single line of thinking. Present time consciousness. The other thing that happens when we know that we've just got a flow, one after the other of patient adjustments, it prevents bottlenecking. It prevents time wasting. In that example I gave you a moment ago where you've got an adjustment, then a report of findings, then a gap, then 2 adjustments, then a new patient. That gap and another gap and another gap, they're too small to put anything into. And all of a sudden you add those gaps up and find out that you've got an hour's worth of gaps in a day that you couldn't do anything with. Okay? So this controls and structures the traffic moving through the office. Now, let me get into some tips and some tidbits here. If we're going to properly structure, let's say, the adjusting time or the new patient time or the report of findings time, we've got to know the doctor's timing with each appointment type. And we've got to be practical about placing people into those time frames. So I recommend, team, that you time your doctor. Yes, doctors, I said your team needs to time you. How long does it take you to do an adjustment? How long does it take you to do a consultation with a new patient or do your exam or do your report of findings? And doctors, once we know what your timing is, you got to stick to it. You got to stay on time, doctors. No chatting about the football team or the dogs at home or the patient's family. We rely on you to stay on time as your team builds your schedule around you. Now, before anybody gets all uptight here, I know everybody's different. I know techniques are different. I know treatments are different. And I want to remind you that we at Integrity don't tell you how to practice. We don't tell you exactly what you've got to be doing from the minute to the second or what have you, but we do know what's practical. And doctors, I am going to sit here today and tell you, you can adjust more than one patient in 15 minutes. You can. And I hear it from you doctors all the time. I got to spend more time with my patients to make the appointment more valuable. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because that's kind of like saying we need to leave the needle in this person's arm to make that medicine more valuable, more effective. Or do maybe we just need to stick that needle in there, inject that medicine and get it out? Now I know I'm ruffling lots of feathers right now with this, but it's a good example. Do the adjustment, doctors. Do the adjustment and get out of there. I got to ask you, doctor, how long does it take you to adjust your wife? Or your husband, or your mom, or your dad, or your kids? I mean, really, how long does it take you to give a good adjustment to a loved one? Take that time, lay your 6-point office visit script over top of that, and that's pretty much the timing you need for the adjustment. Give yourself about 90 seconds more to complete your EHR note right after the adjustment. Yes, complete your EHR note right after the adjustment. And that is your timing. You know what we notice? We notice for most of you doctors that that's about 5 to 7 minutes for that adjustment. So team, while I'm not telling you that's an absolute, I'm telling you that's a target. That's where your doctor should be, between about 5 and 7 minutes. Report of findings? Listen, We know what the script takes. We do this all the time as coaches. We know that it takes about 9 minutes. So combine 9 minutes for the report of findings along with 5 to 7 minutes for a first adjustment. You got 15 minutes for a blocked time for a report of findings. Yep, pretty doable. Pretty doable. So here's what we've observed, everybody. We've observed on average that a doctor can do an adjustment, give or take about 5 minutes. We've observed that most of you will accomplish, remember, we're talking doctor time, that most of you doctors will spend about 30 minutes with your new patient between the consult and the exam and the x-rays. And we've noticed that you'll spend about 15 minutes with your patient between the report of findings and their first adjustment. So again, remember, this is the doctor's time. So when we're scheduling these times, this is the time the doctor should be going in with the patient. I gave you that example of a 9 a.m. new patient means doctor's walking in the room at 9 a.m. So let's play with some examples here, okay? And let's start looking at how the blocking looks in a practical way. If your doctor needs 30 minutes to see a new patient, then there is a maximum of 2 new patients that can be scheduled in a 1-hour block, right? 30 minutes and 30 minutes is 60 minutes. That's 1 hour. If your doctor needs 5 minutes to do an adjustment, then a maximum of 12 patients can be seen for adjustments in a 1-hour block of time. Team, don't overload a block, right? If 12 is the maximum, don't put 20 in a 1-hour block unless you've discussed it as a team first. Sometimes we just need to put a few extra in there because that's just what we have available. But the practicality is 20 people scheduled in an hour at 5-minute adjustments adds up to 100 minutes. Please remember, there are 60 minutes in an hour. Oops. Your doctor's going to be behind. And if it was scheduled that way, team, that's your fault. Okay? And this is what your doctor does, right? It's the Griswold freakout. Have you seen this before? Yep, I'll bet you have. But, hang on, I have an exception. You should plan to overbook your schedule. And you just say, well, now wait a minute. If only 12 can go in at 5 minutes apiece to get to 60 minutes, now you're telling me to overbook it. Yeah, because every one of you have what we know is a cancellation rate. You have a certain number of people that cancel or no-show their appointments every day. Many of you know exactly what this number is. You've measured the percentage. So we recommend that you overbook your schedule by the average percentage that you're running right now. Now, obviously, I'd like you to get better and get that percentage down. That's another conversation. But if you're regularly running at 20% cancellation no-show, well, then we should put another 3 people per hour into the schedule, because at 12 visits an hour times 20%, that means about 3 people are going to fall off. All right? See how this works? Now we've got some strategy going here. And I need to say this because I don't know where this has come from, but we got to make sure you guys hear this. You're not a specialty clinic. You're not a specialty primary care clinic that only sees 2 or 3 people an hour. There's this kind of trend that we see going on called wave scheduling, where everybody gets scheduled in the first 15 minutes or first half hour of the whole hour. And then we just go as fast as we can and let everybody catch up. So some people wait 5 minutes and some people wait 30 minutes. You're not that kind of clinic, everybody. You're scheduling way more than 3 or 4 people an hour. That is the way to make people very mad. Now, not only do we need to remember doctor's timing, but we need to remember the appropriate blocks. Don't mix the block types unless you've discussed it as a team. As an example, 2 30-minute new patients and 4 5-minute adjustments. By the way, in an hour's time, that adds up to 80 minutes. Remember, 1 hour has 60 minutes in it. So if you put all that into an hour, your doctor cannot keep up. So we don't mix the blocks or we end up with this. Craziness from your doctor, right? Now, some of you out there right now might be saying, my patients won't do this. My patients won't do this. Here's the thing, you guys. They will do this if you lead them. They will do this if you lead them. When your patients call in for appointments or are standing at your desk, they are expecting a negotiation because it happens at restaurants. It happens when they're making reservations for airline flights or even calling in to make an oil change reservation. They know that most likely the time they want is not going to be available, but they're going to start with the time they want, and they expect you're going to narrow it down to a time that you have. Right? So if a new patient calls at 5 p.m. for an appointment and you don't have that time open for 2 weeks, lead them where you want them to go. Sally, certainly we can look at that 5 p.m. time. I've got it out there a ways, but I don't want anyone to wait any longer than they need to. So I'd love to see what flexibility you have for tomorrow that we could make work. Very easy, team, but you've got to take the lead. Now, remember this schedule? I know it's very tiny, but remember this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday, Thursday blocking I just gave you? Well, look, if we take each of those adjustment times and put 3 adjustments into it every 15 minutes, so 3 from 8 to 8:15, 3 more from 8:15 to 8:30, and so on during all those blocked times, and we do the same things for new patients and reports of findings. 9 to 9:30 is 1 new patient. 9:30 to 10 o'clock is 1 new patient. 10 to 10:15 is 1 report of findings. 10:15 to 10:30 is 1 report of findings. If we go through and do that through that 5-day work week that I set up for you, that's 270 patient visits a week. That's 30 new patients a week. That's 30 reports of findings a week for 1 doctor. Yes, for 1 doctor. Wow. Now, everybody, when we're going through and setting up your blocked times, this isn't set on what you want your most ideal hours. I know everybody wants to work from like 11 to 2, but nobody comes to you for that. So this isn't based on your ideal hours. It's based on the people you serve. It's not set up based on a guess. It's set up based on what you need to do to meet the goals of your 5-year plan. So when we're setting up our block booking, we have to ask the question, what does your 5-year plan say? Well, I pulled up a pretend 5-year plan here for us to look at. In the first year, this pretend plan calls for 40 new patients. Pretty practical. By the way, if we do the math on that, that's about 10 a week. And it calls for 720 patient visits a month. Again, very practical. That comes down to 170 patient visits per week. So you guys, I'm going to take it easy on you. Let's assume 2 adjustments every 15 minutes, not even 3. Let's assume the 30-minute new patient and 15-minute report of findings. I know you can't see all of this very well on your screen, but I plugged the numbers into that block that I created for you a little while ago on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right. And then I did the calculations on it. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it comes out to 44 adjustments a day, 132 adjustments over 3 days. It comes out to 12 new patients over 3 days. It comes out to 6 report of findings over 3 days. You say, wait a minute, that's not enough report of findings. Yeah, but then there's Tuesday and Thursday. I plugged the same numbers in, and I got 4 reports of findings in a Thursday. By the way, I just did a Thursday afternoon, okay? I did 20 adjustments in a Thursday afternoon. I did 1 new patient and 2 reports of findings again at 5:30, and I did 4 adjustments from 6:30 to 7. So I even took your Thursday and I split it up. When I did those numbers and did Tuesday and Thursday half days, I came out with 48 adjustments for those 2 days. I came out with 3 new patients over the 2 days, and I came out with 10 report of findings for the 2 days. So I put it all together, and I've got 15 new patients a week. I've got 16 report of findings a week, so I got an extra in there, and I got 180 adjustments per week. Whoa. That's going to get us where we need to be. As a matter of fact, it's even more than what that 5-year plan was calling for. We made it easy on ourselves to recommend 3 times a week, which is the frequency most of you do. We gave ourselves early morning and late evening appointments. We gave ourselves a variety of appointments, and it came out over goal. So if you want, take Friday afternoon off. And we're still getting a $40,000 practice. We're still hitting our plan. And that's just in the first year. So what do we do next? Hire another doctor. Move on to year 2 of the 5-year plan goals. Block booking gave us the roadway and the lanes to get there. Now you say, what if I've got more than one doctor? Easy. We just start staggering the blocks. I pulled this from one of our coaches' office. This is 3 doctors. They start at 7 o'clock in the morning, and this one runs to about 2 o'clock. And what I want you to see is they staggered their reports of findings and their new patients, and they staggered their adjustment times. All right? Each of them got a lunch, but they were staggered, and that allowed the clinic to stay open all day. Yes, team, your lunches get staggered too. So no, the whole team doesn't eat together every day, but we get to see patients all day, and everybody still gets a break. Just in this time frame here, the first doctor had 63 adjustments and 1 new patient and 1 report of findings. And you can see the other numbers for the other doctors. In 7 hours of one day, I'm not even showing you the whole day, they had 171 adjustment opportunities, 5 new patient opportunities, 5 report of findings opportunities. And this goes on in the afternoon. 120 adjustment opportunities, 2 new patient opportunities, 2 report of findings opportunities. Look at the single day. One day, 290 adjustments, 7 new patients, 7 reports of findings. And by the way, I know this is small on your screen, but maybe you noticed, they actually took specific times throughout the day. And instead of doing 3 adjustments in a 15-minute period, they did 2 and scheduled 1 wellness report. Yep, they're making time for the wellness reports too. So from one coach's practice, and by the way, doctors, if you're starting to freak out going, oh my gosh, 5 days a week. No, we even staggered the doctors and the staff days off. Everybody worked about 40 hours a week in a 4-day week. Okay, so you can see there that every doctor got some time off. 2 of those doctors had full days off. One of those doctors elected to take 2 half days off. Huge numbers. Let me back that up here real quick. Hang on just a second. 1,180 adjustment opportunities, 25 new patients, 25 reports of findings per week. That's what happens when we start block booking and adding multiple doctors. Now, you might be saying, I need to do block booking, but I've been doing this for years and my schedule's going to be a mess. What do I do? Well, obviously, it's easiest to start with a blank canvas. I know that. But if there's already a schedule in place and you want to change it, here are the steps. First off, commit. Commit to it. Say, we're going to do this. Everybody's all in. It's going to be a little messy for a while, but keep the end vision in mind. Step 2, get your 5-year plan out and determine how many adjustments and new patients and reports of findings that you need. You can't hit the plan if you don't plan for the number it calls for. Get your coach's help here if you need some. Go back and look at your peaks, at your valleys. When are your highs? When are your lows? Those are obvious places that you may not want to stick a block of new patients into when you're at a peak of adjustments that is pretty consistent over 6 months. But also, consider the demographics that you serve. Where do you live? What's your community like? I took some examples from some of our clients. Are you in a bedroom community where your entire population leaves for the whole day? Yeah, you might not have any adjustments from like 10 in the morning until 4 at night, right? Because everybody leaves for the day. What about downtown? We've got some clients that work downtown in high rises. Most people are in there by 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and downtown's empty by 5 o'clock at night. So why have hours until 7 if nobody's there? Are you in a rural farm community? Many of you are. Your availability of your patients might vary by season. You know, like right now, there are a lot of farmers that are out in the fields doing harvest. Yeah, you're not going to get them in for adjustments at all during the middle of the day during harvest. So you got to consider who you're serving. Factory towns. What about shift changes? Those are things you need to take into account. Once you've got an idea, create a template. What would you like your block booking to look like? You might even draw up 2 or 3 different versions. Remember, don't create a block schedule that's great for you. Create it for your patients, right? I realize everybody like to come into the office at 11 in the morning and go home at 3 in the afternoon. It's not going to work for 99% of your patients. So create the block that works for your patients. And here's the messy part. This is where you got to lay your block booking template over your current schedule. And you got to start working with that block booking. All new patients that call into your office, all reports of findings go only into the blocks that you've created from now on. And you advance multiple schedule them only in the adjusting blocks. Now, I know there are other people that are inside of those blocks too that were already there. I get it. Let them stay there. Let them finish their current advanced multiple scheduled plan, even if it's not in the right block. You already promised them that time. Don't go disrupt them. We don't need to make it hard for them to get to you. Let them finish. When they hit their wellness report 3, move them to wellness and advanced multiple schedule them into an adjusting block going forward. Wellness patients that you've got currently AMS'd but maybe are overlaying some of your blocks that you need them to move out of, well, as you get to them, you can move them going forward. Just tell them we've had a change in hours and time availability. It'll take you about 4 weeks to see all of those people mostly, and you can just change them one by one. Expect a few traffic jams. Know that you're going to have some people that run into each other and a few bottlenecks. It's just like road construction. It's okay. Be patient, be nice, but be a leader. Lead them to where you want them to go. And then meet together as a team each week to assess your progress. How you doing? How's it going? Where might the blocks not be working quite right? Sort out the bottlenecks and the confusion. Don't be afraid to change a block if you discover it's not working quite right. And your coach, of course, can help you on this entire strategy. Now, I know I'm already running a bit long here, but bear with me. Let's take 5 minutes real quick and talk about cluster scheduling. This is such a simple concept. It's, as the name says, cluster your visits close together. It keeps your office flowing rather than starting and stopping, right? You got 2 people and then you got a break of 15 minutes, then you got a person, and then you got a break of 10 minutes, and you got another person. Your doctor doesn't work very efficiently that way, team, and neither do you. Keeps your doctor steady, keeps you steady. And by the way, keeps your doctor from developing bad habits like talking too much. And it also allows us to take open spaces in the schedule and consolidate them so we might fit in a last-minute emergency or a reactivation or something like that. Let me show you what this looks like. Here's a 1-hour time block. We start scheduling people from the top of the hour down each side of the clock. So, for instance, we will schedule people for adjustments at 10 and 10:55, and then at 10:05 and 10:50, and then at 10:10 and 10:45, and at 10:15 and at 10:40, and at 10:20 and at 10:35. And you can see that what we're doing is as we're growing around the clock, there's this space that's getting ever smaller, but we maintain at the bottom of the hour that is open for those last-minute call-ins, maybe a fast new patient if we've got an emergency and the other blocks are already full, or something like that. And doctor, if nothing else calls in there, you can go to the bathroom. Team, your patients will do this if you lead them. Remember, they expect negotiation. They're going to come at you with a 10 o'clock, but if you don't have it, lead them to the 10:15 or the 10:50, right? Mrs. Smith says, I want an adjustment at 8:30, and you say, Mrs. Smith, I don't have that time available, but I do have an 8 or an 8:55. Just lead them to where you want them to go. And all of this, you guys, brings me to the end here. Block booking and cluster scheduling. It gives you structure. It controls your volume. It gives you lanes to flow people in. Don't be a Knoxville. Plan your traffic. Prevent your bottlenecks and your traffic jams. Because whether you have good traffic flow or a traffic jam, it's totally up to you. Thanks so much, everybody. I'm glad I got to be a part of your fall live conference today. I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Oh, that was sweet. That was super sweet. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Hey, Dr. Doug, gotta compliment the hat, man. What a sharp look. Like, each year from Doug, we sometimes we get long hair, sometimes we get facial hair, sometimes we get curly hair, sometimes we get short hair. Now we get that, a little Elmer Fudd style, man. Awesome. Absolutely. Love a good hat. Hats are always a win. So, that was awesome, everybody. There's only one more left. It's just me. That's right. We're going to get it. We may get a little early today because I'm going to finish this thing out, but I've got something super fun planned, something you're not going to want to miss. But remember, this coupon code that we've got for today only works for today, only works while you're watching this, while you're doing this. You're going to want to go get it. Get your report of findings packets, get your wellness report packets, get it. Get 24% off today only using the coupon code, all one word, all lowercase, Beast Mode. BEASTMODE. Get it. Make sure you get it. We're going to take one more 10-minute break, and then we'll be back where I'm going to close this thing down with something that I think you are going to really hit home with. All right? 10 more minutes. Let's do it. Take a break. Welcome back from the break, everybody. This is it. This is the final hour, man. This is it. You got to get through me, and then you can eat, you can play games, you can do whatever. If you've got stuff planned today, you can turn on college football. We can get this thing going. You can start cheering for your favorite team. Whatever it may be, this is it. I am super pumped. And I do want to, address the elephant in the room. No, I'm not the beast anymore. I know you're probably wondering, where'd it go? Well, the honest truth is that I recognize the fact that when this day is over, when we take this big, long, one-shot deal and we break it down into separate individual recordings, someone that never saw this day, if they were watching this class now and I would dressed as the beast, they'd be like, who is this guy? Why? What's the point? It would make no sense. So I felt like let's clear the air, let's get it off, let's do this thing. And plus, if I'm honest with you, it was hot. That head thing was hot. So I'm thrilled to be more comfortable. This is more in kind of my style. And this is it. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. And I'm super excited for you here, though. This training today is actually a training that I use with our coaches. It's one I teach our coaches, and it's something that I think is incredibly beneficial. I think it's something that when you kind of understand the way our coaches think and the way we do things, this one will kind of relate to that, because you'll get to see this is why we do what we do. This is who we are, and that's why this class is called It's Proven. It's Proven. Now, I want to start off this class by referencing one of my all-time favorite movies. Okay? One of my all-time favorite movies, it's called Moneyball. Moneyball is about the Oakland Athletic baseball team, Major League Baseball team, who had an amazing run where they set a record for the most wins in a row. It's an awesome, awesome story. It's a true story. Gotta love a true story. And it stars two really awesome guys, Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. Brad Pitt plays a guy by the name of Billy Beane. And Billy Beane is the general manager of the Oakland Athletics. He then brings on an assistant, and this guy's name is Peter Brand. And Peter, played by Jonah Hill, is learning and figuring out. But to start this thing off, where this all kind of comes from is that the Oakland Athletics, they don't have that much money to work with to build their ball club. They are trying to build a winning team, and Billy's trying to find a new way to do it. He's trying to figure something else out, and he meets this guy named Peter, and Peter has different ideas. He has ideas that nobody's doing. He's doing stuff, and he's talking about stuff that nobody's talking about, stuff that is about more of a statistic focused rather than money focused and just looking at talent. So they start going through it, and he starts working on this program, which isn't totally new to baseball. There was a guy named Bill James who kind of came out with the basic structure years ago and wrote a book about it, but he wasn't a baseball expert. Was kind of shunned in the baseball community. So Peter Brand brings this up to him, and they start building this team based upon their algorithm that they create for how they want to measure player success. And so to do this, they build this entire team very cheaply, very differently, in a way that no other part of baseball even understands, that no other part of baseball even totally, let's say, agrees with. And so along the way, what happens is because nobody else gets it, because nobody else is doing it, nobody else understands it, they are building this team, and the manager of the team, which is basically the coach in baseball, the manager of the team doesn't agree with the decisions, and so he doesn't play it the way they want. He doesn't use the players that they got. He doesn't follow the instructions of Billy. He doesn't do anything. So Billy finally feels like either we're going to do this thing right or not. So he comes up with this deal where he starts trading off any of the players that the manager would have played to keep the team he wants on the field. Because if he doesn't get the team that the general manager wants, that Billy Beane wants, he knows this isn't going to work. He knows his ultimate plan, what he's created, what he's done, it isn't going to fly. So for that, he starts trading players. And when he starts doing that, Peter Brand comes in and says, what are you doing? You're trading all-stars. You're trading great players. You're trading people that are going to be huge in baseball. You're trading people that are, this could get you fired, as he says. This could get you fired. This could change everything. You could lose your job over these decisions. And Billy looks at Peter and says one simple phrase that I think to me is something that's been really helpful and beneficial in business for me for a long time, in terms of recognizing purpose, recognizing what you do, and recognizing why we are here. And he looks at Peter and he says, I don't think we're asking the right question. You're worried about getting fired. Sure, great. You're worried about the issues. But he goes, I think the real question is, do you believe in this thing or not? Now, think about that. Think about it. The question. See, when that question is brought up in terms of what we're doing and why we're doing it and what is it, do you believe in this thing or not? And Peter looks back and says, yeah, I do. And Billy says back, then what are we talking about? Because the honest truth is, if you truly believe in what we're doing, you'll get behind it. You'll fight for it. You won't jump off any chance someone gets up. You won't see any shiny new object and move on to something else. You will stick with it. If you believe in something, and I don't mean believe for a moment. I don't mean believe for just a short amount of time. I don't mean believe for just the first part of your career. I don't mean believe for just a moment. I'm talking believe, man. I'm talking about believe. In other words, putting it a different way for you, do you believe it's proven? Do you believe it's proven? So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a very simple question. And this is basically where I hit today's topic. Are you working in your office currently with the belief that what you are doing or selling is already proven, or does it still need proving? Let me ask it again. Are you working with the belief that what you are doing or selling is already proven, or does it still need proving? Now, what do I mean by that? What I'm getting at here is there's a totally different mindset when you believe something is proven compared to when you think it needs to be. We're still in the proving stage. When we're still in the I'm trying to make sure that this is real stage. There's a totally different aspect. This is the difference between proposing and not proposing in marriage. Do I believe this is the one? Is this proven to be the one, or is this I'm still kind of trying to figure this thing out? And do I still believe that what I'm created works here? Do I believe what I'm doing works? Do I believe that what I'm selling works? Do I believe that what I offer works? Or do I believe it, it might work. I think it does. It kind of does. I think some people think it doesn't. See, there's a difference between working in an environment where you believe what you are doing is proven, proven in every sense, proven in belief, proven that you would die for this thing, that you believe without a shadow of a doubt this thing is real. It's proven. But when we're still in that proving phase, we're kind of like, well, we could try something else. We're just going to attempt. We're just going to see. No, it needs to be proven. If what you're doing, I don't believe God would call you to do something He didn't prove it. So, which kind of leads me to my first simple point. I want to make this as abundantly, crystally clear as I possibly can. So to start, I want to talk about for myself. I'm going to talk about my own provens. Okay, I have provens. I've been doing this thing for 2025 will be my 20th year at Integrity Doctors. 20th year. In that time, I've got some proven. Okay. There's no longer proving, it's proven. But let me just start with let's start with a personal one. This is my proven list to start off. Jesus Christ is proven. Jesus is my Lord and Savior. I believe He died on a cross. I believe he rose again after 3 days. I believe that he ascended into heaven. I believe one day he's coming back for me or my kids or my grandkids, or whenever he comes back, as long as we pave the way and as long as we are saved by him, he is coming back for us. I believe he is the Lord. And to believe that means simply this: I am not in a state of proving. See, it's proven. There's no doubt in me about him. There's no doubt in me that he is not the Lord. There is no doubt in me that says, well, maybe he might be. Maybe he could be. Maybe, there could be other options. No. It's proven. It's proven. I've read the book from cover to cover. I have done the research. I've read other books. I've done other things. I've heard other things. And it's not even about the education in the books. I can tell you this from my own personal life, from my own experiences. There have been moments where I didn't have him involved. There were times where he was nowhere near. There were times, and not saying that he wasn't choosing to be, but where I was pushing him away. There were times where I wasn't in the proven state. But having lived in both, I can tell you it's proven. I can tell you it's real. I can tell the only reason I'm here, the only reason I can smile today and put on a good face and tell you to believe and tell you to fight for what's proven is because he fought for me. He put me here. He's proven. But see, when you're in a state of proving, you can even look at the concept and just say, well, let's just say he was a good guy. You know what? He was a good teacher. One of my favorite books growing up, there was an author I really liked called Josh McDowell. Josh McDowell has some great books out there. And one of his more famous books is called More Than a Carpenter. And in More Than a Carpenter, he talks about that Jesus is either one of three things. He's either Lord, or he's a liar, or he's a lunatic. And that there's really no other three. It's either Lord, liar, or lunatic. C.S. Lewis, the famous author of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Mere Christianity, and a lot of different things. C.S. Lewis said this. It's very much on the same. I think this is where he said, a man who was merely a man and said the sort of things Jesus said would not be a great moral teacher. He would not be a great moral teacher. He would either be a lunatic on a level with the man who says he's a poached egg, or else he would be the devil of hell. You must make your choice. Either this man was and is the Son of God, or else a madman, or something worse. You can shut him up for a fool. You can spit at him and kill him as a demon, or you can fall at his feet and call him Lord and God. But let us not come with any patronizing nonsense about his being of a great human teacher. He has not left that open to us. He did not intend to. What that says to me is that this is the same way. It's proven. He is who he was. You can't tell me different. I realize that there are people who say, "Oh, yeah, you can't prove it." I have the proof. I have the proof. I am living proof. I am living proof that he saved me. He turned my life around, and without him, I would not be here today. I am living proof of this. It is proof. It's not in a proving state. It is proven. It is absolutely. It's proven. You can't stop my belief. You can't get in the way of my belief. It doesn't matter what nonsense you come up with. I believe it is proven. It's proven. And when it's proven, can't be stopped. It's proven. Let me go on my list. Here's another one I believe. I believe chiropractic is proven. Okay? I'm going to say it again. I believe chiropractic is proven. Man, I got to tell you, I've been getting adjusted since I was a kid. Since I was a little kid. I remember getting adjusted. I remember giggling when I heard the sound of the crack. And being grown up, there was a time where even you said the word crack, it was like that was a bad word. And I remember hearing it and thinking, whoa, what is this? This is new. But I also know this, in growing up with it, I can't imagine where I'd be without it. I know that it's proven. See, I still get, maybe it's hard for me to understand. It's hard for me to explain this, but I will still get requests from doctors saying, we should bring in a philosophical person to talk about chiropractic success, what chiropractic's doing, and what chiropractic. And I understand it. And maybe people want that in terms of just to hear nice things about chiropractic, but it a lot of times feels like I will talk to doctors that are still believing chiropractic is in a proving state. Like, this doesn't do what it does. When I see the reaction by some of these weirdos out there during the pandemic, when the World Federation of Chiropractic comes out and says chiropractic doesn't, there's really no proof it does anything. What? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? The World Federation, which is literally a guy with a 400 square foot office in the Netherlands posting that with that big a name, and it's not really a thing, but it sounds really neat. No. It is proven, man. It's proven. I'm willing to bet that when Harvey Lillard, now if you don't know who Harvey Lillard is, he's the first chiropractic patient. When he went into Dee Dee's office and Dee Dee adjusted him and all of a sudden his hearing back, he's thinking, you know what? I don't know if that did anything. No, I think the fact that he could hear out his ear was some proof. I think that even my own life, I think the times where I've literally traveled to a location, landed, woke up sick, and been adjusted that morning and was able to talk, was able to speak, was able to present, able to do it, that was because of you. I've had moments where I've literally crawled on the floor. Well, I've literally had to, I felt like I had to lean on the walls and barely make it through the front door, get adjusted, and then I can just walk right out again. I am telling you, I don't need any more statistics. I don't need any more advice. I know 100% without fail that chiropractic is proven. And I would think for you, docs, I would think for you, staff, that every day, when you see people get adjusted and you see them in pain and you see them leave happy and you see these people sign the wall and you see these people go through their treatment plan and you see what they've done, how much more help do we need? What more proof is there? It's proven. It's proven. We don't need anything else. We don't need the vitamins. Oh, are the vitamins nice? Sure. Do I take vitamins? Yes. But is the adjustment proven? It's proven. It's proven. It works. Oh, it works. It's awesome. Oh, yeah, but we need these lasers. No, you don't. You don't need them. Are they nice? Sure. Do I like them? Maybe. Maybe it did something. I wonder on those. I'll be honest with you. I'm just going to be straight up as a patient. We put red lights on me. You put lasers on me. I don't know if it does. I don't know. I can honestly say the same thing I've had acupuncture many times. I've had cupping. I've tried all of these different things, but I can tell you this. Here's the one thing I know from having done cupping, from having done acupuncture, from having done massage, from having done lasers, from having done red light therapy, from having done vitamins, from having done all of it. Every single time I do any of those things, I walk away wondering, did it work? But every time I get adjusted, I walk away saying, thank you, Lord, because I know it did. That's proof, man. That's proof. All those other things, maybe. But they're in a state of proving. And how blessed are we? How grateful we should be for being in a profession that's proven. A profession that even the government said was a necessity. It was during the pandemic when wondering what's necessary and what isn't. There's very, very few things on that list. And one of those just happened to be chiropractic care. It's proven. It's proven. Chiropractic is proven. It's not guessing. It's not still being proved. It's not we're in a state of proving it. We're trying to still make sure that people know. We're still looking for stats. We're still looking for things. No, it's proven. It's proven. It works. It will get me well. And I stand by this. I believe this. I believe chiropractic should be the patient's first choice, not their last choice. I believe chiropractic should be the first thing everybody does. I believe chiropractic, when you get sick, when you get hurt, it shouldn't be call any deal. It shouldn't show up to an emergency room. It should be, let me get into my chiropractor. That should be the answer. Why do I believe it's the answer? Because it's proven. It's proven. I've had all the other things. I've had all the treatments. I've done all the different stuff. But just being honest, maybe I think too simple because I'm a patient. But I'm telling you, chiropractic is proven. Still want to push back. I realize even in our videos, all the stuff we provide tons of facts, tons of statistics. You doubt it? Go watch the first day video. Actually watch it. Actually watch it and listen. Listen to the stats in there. I'm gonna give you some extras. Here's some extras. This is from Consumer Reports. We all know what Consumer Reports is. It's a magazine that's been around forever. It's an amazing thing. It lists all things of what people think of how they. This is what Consumer Reports said. When it comes to back pain treatments, chiropractic. Okay, let me just stop. Okay, what are we talking about here? It didn't just mention spinal manipulation. It literally said chiropractic. When it comes to back pain treatments, chiropractic is more effective. Okay, let me just make sure you get it. How effective? More, not equal, not less than, not one of, not as effective. It said it's what? It's what? It's more. It's more effective than, here's the list. You ready for this? I hope you're ready. Consumer Reports. Chiropractic is more effective than medications, massage, yoga, Pilates, and over-the-counter drugs. I mean, I 100% agree. I didn't need to read that to agree with it. I knew that. I could have already told you that. But here it is, not from me, not just from a guy, not just from Ryan. Consumer Reports. Chiropractic is more effective than medications, massage, yoga, Pilates, and over-the-counter drugs. I pulled that exactly, copied and pasted from their report. Now, let's look at some fun little stats. Chiropractic reduces pharmaceutical costs by 85%. Seriously, that's awesome. There are over 100 million adjustments happening each and every day worldwide. 100 million. This isn't something that's not happening. This isn't a rarity. There's over 100 million adjustments happening each day worldwide. And then let's look at this last one. This gets me here. You are 28 times less likely to perform spinal surgery if you visit a chiropractor first. Man, these are things that they're so easy to just read them and just brush over them, and not even realizing what we said. It didn't say you are 2 times less likely, which is double. You realize that's double. He didn't say 3 times, which is triple. Triple, that's even bigger. Triple the percentage less likely to perform surgery. Triple. No. It didn't even go the Grant Cardone route. It didn't even go what everyone sees as the big number, the 10x. It doesn't say you are 10 times less likely. Man, it tripled it. It tripled it, man. You are 28x, 28x, 28, 28, 28, 28x less likely to perform a spinal surgery if you went to a chiropractor first. 28% less likely to have to go through any kind of spinal surgery if you went to a chiropractor first. Now, you tell me, does that mean that we're awesome? Does that mean that we work? Does that mean that we are proven? Fired up, man. I am fired up. You know why I'm fired up? You know why I'm so stinking fired up? Because what we have is awesome. And I'm tired of us only treating a small amount of person. I'm tired of us acting like that chiropractic's, almost like hit its level. No, it can be taken everywhere. I want to show, see, if we take chiropractic to the 80%, if we do what we say we do, and we're going to reach the world, we're going to take 80% of the population and put them under chiropractic care. That 28 times becomes 70 times. Over 100 million adjustments happen each day worldwide, changes to over 100 million adjustments happen each hour. Now, think about that. Think about that. Chiropractic reduces pharmaceutical costs by 85%. What if chiropractic gets rid of pharmaceutical costs? What if it wipes it clean? What if most people don't even need the drugs anymore? They don't need over-the-counter stuff because of you, because of what you can do through chiropractic care, what you can do with what we call done by hands. With your hands. What you can do with your hands, the medical profession can't do with anything else. They can't touch you. They can't create, invent, produce anything that's more powerful than what you get to do with your hands, because you get to allow the one who made the body to heal the body. You get to be a part of that innate response that allows you to put it in line so that God can take over, so that he can heal, so that the body can heal itself. But none of this is possible. 28 times less chances of surgery for spine? That's not possible for something that's not proven. 100 million adjustments a day? That's not allowed. There's no way that'd be allowed. There's no way that that'd be allowed to happen if it wasn't proven. There's no way it would lower costs of pharmaceutical drugs by 85% if it wasn't proven. Then I'll tell you this. Consumer Reports didn't have to write it. Didn't have to say it. Heck, they didn't even have to print it. But when you print something like that in writing, that it's more effective than medication, massage, yoga, Pilates, and over-the-counter drugs. I don't know if you can tell what I'm thinking or not. I don't know if you can tell what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's proven. It's proven. Now I'm going to give you one more, okay? I'm going to give you one more. The integrity system is proven. It's proven. I have just the honor of knowing many of you for a very long time. Being that I've grown up in this company, being that I've worked here for almost 20 years now. There are some of you I've seen when you were a kid. I remember you coming out of school, and I get to see where life has taken you. I've seen some of you go from being afraid of kids to having many kids. I've seen some of you back when I was a kid, and I've seen you retire and still hang around. I've seen all these different things. And in that time, being that this company is right now 42 years old, and we're the only company that survived, and we're the only company who stuck around, and the only company who is thriving the way we're thriving, We're proven, man. We are proven. And that was none more proven to me even. I know what we do works. I know what the answers we have are awesome. We have living proof. I have watched some of you go from bankrupt to killing it. I have watched offices where even you told me this isn't going to work, and then watched you come back and say, I was wrong. I have watched things that people said wouldn't work. There are ideas I've come up with over the years that I was told was stupid. One of them was the wellness wall. I remember being told, I don't want to do that. That's unprofessional. I don't want that in my office. Why would we do this? And yet I have examples now of offices that are so grateful for that wall and what it's done and what it's meant to them. I have one I just got the other day. I didn't have this written in here. This just, as I'm saying it now, one of our integrity doctors, Dr. Dowd called me, and she told me, she said, I have a story for you that you're going to love. And I said, well, hit me with it. And I'm going to do my best to tell this from memory. But she told me that she had a patient come in, and this woman said, she was going through her care, and, she came to Dr. Dowd, and she said, I want you to know something. She goes, I'm here, and I'm going to complete my plan because I want to sign the wall. And they were like, well, great. Oh, that's great. We're thrilled. That's awesome. She goes, no, you don't understand. There's something I want to do though with it. She said, a few years ago, my husband was a patient here. And my husband signed that wall. And he recently passed. And when I do this, I want to sign my name next to his. Now, how cool is that? I want to sign my name next. I want to make sure I'm with him on that wall. Now, what makes this even cooler is that Dr. Dowd's wall has become almost a full hallway. They have had so many people sign that it's taking up more than one wall. And it's taking up so much wall space that he signed this a few years ago, and they didn't know where his signature was. So her team made a point to figure out, to try to track through their patient files when he came in, what month it would have been, try to go through their old photos, see when it would have been done. And they researched it and found the exact spot. They didn't know it before. She didn't know it. The wife didn't know it. But they found it. And on the day that her final visit of her treatment plan came, she signed the wall next to her husband. I'm telling you what, stuff like that, I love stories like, the magic behind that, the awesomeness behind it, the purpose behind it. But it leads me to one more simple kind of concept here, folks. The integrity system is proven. It's proven. It works. It does it. And man, I was no more even proved that than this year. This year at our Dallas Super Saturday. At Super Saturday in Dallas, Dr. Doug taught an awesome class. I know he taught just one now a little bit ago that was awesome, but he had an awesome class called There's Something Happening Here. And in that class, he laid out all of the stuff that we have been saying for years, all of the data that we have been pushing, that we have been grilled for. The doctor said we were just making up. And doctors had pushed back like we didn't know, like this wasn't real, like this was all fake. And everything that we'd had in our Living Well for Life class, our old How to Stay Young class, our reports, everything. We were treated like we still were in the state of proving. And he came out and showed all of these major health experts, all of them, that literally even had graphs that I would have said, maybe one of them visited your office and stole it from us. They might have snuck a picture and added it to their own book. It was so stinking similar. Why? Because we weren't wrong. What we're doing is proven. We're not just throwing a bunch of concepts at you and hoping one sticks, hoping one works, hoping we get lucky. Everything we give you, everything we provide you, everything we have for you, we want to make sure it's proven first. proven? How proven? When I say we've been in business 42 years, here's what else I'm saying. We've opened more than 7,000 clinics from scratch. 7,000. We've helped our offices get millions of new patients. 78% of our membership collects over $40,000 a month in their office. And here's the fun one. This is even one of our newest concepts, one that was unfamiliar and uncomfortable for a lot of different people initially because they didn't understand it. We came out with Destination Wellness Rewards, our rewards program for wellness patients. This program is only 3 years old. Only 3 years old. And look at this. It's doubled in the last 2 years. Doubled. In the first year, we had something like, I want to say 13,000 people sign up for it nationwide. And then it just started slowly growing. But in the last 2 years, we now have more than 63,000 wellness patients enrolled. 63,000. Since its enrollment, since it started, there have been 527,486 plus meaning because we get more added every minute of every day, and I had to cap it to put it in here. So I looked it up right before I started, and this is where we were at. That's over 500,000 wellness visits happened and stamped since we started this program. And because this program gives a free adjustment after 8 visits, there have been 47,000 free adjustments earned. 47,000. Now, here's what I want to kind of round this out a bit. Do you really think we could get 500,000 wellness visits under a program if this thing wasn't proven? Do you really think that you could have gotten this from, we could have grown you to where we've grown you if this wasn't proven? Do you really think we could still be in business after 42 years if this wasn't proven? Do you really think we'd be here with you today on a Saturday morning on YouTube if this wasn't proven? It's proven. The integrity system is proven. Look at the offices. Look at the elite doctors coming through. Look at yourself. Look at what you're doing. It's proven. Which lends me to this, one of my favorite quotes by Walt Disney. When you believe in a thing, believe in it all the way, implicitly and unquestionable. I want to end this with one very simple statement. I believe in you. I believe in you. See, in doing this 20 years, I have learned and seen, and I've seen a lot of people. I've seen people that, some would say wouldn't have made it. I've seen doctors that told me they didn't think they'd make it. I've seen offices that have grown bigger than I even ever thought possible. I've seen things happen and things come to fruition that I never dreamt possible. And all of that is because it was proven. See, what we're all really doing here is working to prove. I think you're even kind of brought up as a young kid, you're kind of told, well, you need to prove yourself. And I think for a lot of us, we can sometimes feel like we're still doing that. We're still proving ourselves to our teachers, still proving ourselves to our parents, still proving ourselves to family members, still proving myself to my wife or my husband or my partner or whomever. I'm still trying to prove myself to my kids, still trying to prove myself. But at some point, you have to realize and start believing that you've proven. It's proven. What I've done is proven. I'm in a profession that's proven. I'm using a system that's proven. I believe in a God who's proven. And the more you rely on things that are proven, and the more you trust things that are proven, you'll soon learn and you'll soon figure out that while you have felt like you are still in a state of proving, it may be time that you consider yourself proven. Proven. So I ask you the question I started with. When it comes to you, yourself, when it comes to your team, when it comes to your profession, when it comes to your God, when it comes to your coach, when it comes to your system, let me ask you, do you believe in this thing or not? Do you believe in this thing or not? Because you know what? I think it's proven. In fact, I don't just think it's proven. I know. I know it's proven. I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been an awesome day. This has been one that I loved it. Loved every second of it. I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope you realize how much we believe in you, how much we want you to win, how much we are here for your success, and how we are here to make sure that we are all in a state of proven, because we are proven. Integrity is proven. Chiropractic is proven. And you know what? You are proven. You are awesome. Still a coupon code. Beast Mode. 24% off. Go get it now. Otherwise, before we go, I just want to pray for you. Okay? Pray for you and your team, and then we'll be off. God, I thank you for today. I thank you for this Saturday. I thank you for all that you've done. I thank you for the eyes that you opened. I thank you for the hearts that opened. I thank you for the minds that were allowed to take in some new things today and some new concepts. I want to pray over each and every one of our doctors and our team members and our coaches. I want to pray that you would give them the strength to fight for what they believe. Give them the strength to realize that your love and your grace and your future for them is proven. That you've made a way. You will continue to make a way. And you have a plan that's made for them. You've called them to this, and they will be better enriched, and they will thrive because of what you have in store for them by your purpose. God, I want to thank you for today. I want to thank you for our people, and I want to pray a blessing over each person that took the time out of their morning to be here this morning. It's in your awesome name we pray. Amen. Thank you for being here today, everybody. We love you. We thank you. We'll see you very soon. God bless you.